one of them joints right here, man, that you play when you feeling down on your ism, right? Play this shit right here and resuscitate your pimpin' and get you right back on your mission, right? For you hoes, this that shit you play when you ain't feeling like super hoe today. Play this shit right here and spark up your hoeing and get you right back going, you dig? Dig this. Pimps for real, don't mistake it for fashion. The turf that birthed my reputation for mashing was the track with active, attractive hoes. Professional goers that attract the dough. Like magnets to metal, never settle. We scorching them fag bitches pedal for them portions. My whores win it all. Not the ones on the sideline wishing but didn't ball in the guidelines. My bitches did it all. Down 7 below in the snow for dough. Over 120 in the sun for fun. They mash for hours, hooker baths, not showers. Bright and early, down and dirty for the cash and power. They gotta get the cash, the towers, and reach it all to a pimp. In my position, I'm all but exempt. These bras not wimps, I'm like them renegade bitches. BFFs with tricks but never getting paid riches. Grenade bitches, they dynamite, blowing up on the pimpin' and missing when the time is right. But when they life gets strife, they see pimpin' shining bright, but they action is life without. Bitch, one strike, you out. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. See, that's the difference, nigga. The pimpin' mashing for these riches, nigga. Nothing like you master magician, niggas. Smoking mirrors with your game, hella extras to reflect the opposite appearance of a lame. Bitches coming from y'all, I can't rock with those. Tender-footed and rooted in them doctor shows. Soft shoe rituals, minute residuals. Papers on life support, your loots and critical. Something I learned about when running my earned route and working with turnouts is murdering burnouts. Cause knocking one of you niggas for a scarred bitch, that's knocking one of you niggas for some garbage. I'm heartless regardless, empty with sympathy, but banked up to the max with pimpathy. No remedy for me, I'm like this. My life is vice grip, synced in permanent ink. You can't rewrite this. My blood type is P positive, beautifully deposited with a lot of it. I'm popping this shit, and when I pop it so hard I make a trapping ass bad bitch wanna hoe hard. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. Come on, pimpin', man, pop that shit. Show these sucker niggas they can't stop that shit. Let these hookers know if they wanna cop that shit. Treat the bag like it's hot, bitch, and drop that shit. And to you hoes, if you ever took a loss, bitch, show these bitches how to bet them know that the best way to floss, bitch, is reach that paper to some pimpin' hoe and toss it. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga.
Y'all already know what to do, man. Wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Hit that like button. And y'all already know, freeze is first order of business. I got to hydrate my game, put some love in my body. Yeah. Why are they so out of control, man? What is we gonna do? Why is the women so out of control, man? What we gonna do? They just become more and more out of control. What we gonna do? Cheers to the game.
So that's what we're talking about today, man. Why are women so out of control? And what can be done so that they're not so out of control? Well, let's talk about one of the main issues, man. We're going to touch on a few main issues, but one of the main issues is that a lot of guys out there who have a problem with women being out of control excuse my pimping, resort to the same measures that women resort to when they have issues, which is react emotionally. It's a lot of you guys out there that's reacting emotionally to the stimulus, which is women being out of control. A lot of you guys are pretty much acting like your mama. And evidence of it is when you pay attention to social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, what have you, you have all of these guys on social media crying about the behavior of women and the treatment from women towards them. And the unfortunate thing about that is that some of these crybaby ass niggas have large platforms, which means their voices reach far and wide. And, you know, the unfortunate thing is a lot of you guys out there who really would like a solution to the issue of women being out of control are very impressionable. Now, it's understandable when you a kid being impressionable because as a child, you're growing at a rapid pace and you're doing your best to find your way. So any and everything can have an impact on you, be it positive or negative. But when you're a man, you're supposed to have better discernment than a child, which means you shouldn't be so impressionable. But nonetheless, a lot of you grown ass males are very impressionable. So that means when these crybabies with these loud voices that reach far and wide cry about women on social media, by you being an impressionable adult male, you know, looking for a solution out of desperation, you take what these guys spew out and you internalize it, and it reflects in your behavior. It reflects in your demeanor. It reflects in your thinking because you're so impressionable. And this is a big issue with a lot of you guys, right? And why are you so impressionable? Why are so many grown males so impressionable and so easily persuaded, so easily influenced, which is in a lot of ways contrary to manhood? Why are so many of you so impressionable? Well, see, the opposite, let's talk about being the opposite of impressionable, which means, you know, you're not easily convinced as a man. You're not easily swayed from your principles and your values. You're not easily swayed away from your character because your character is intact, right? But when your character is not intact and your principles and values are more flexible because you don't really understand yourself as a man, that's what makes you so impressionable. But why are your principles and your values so flexible? See, because a lot of y'all are handicapped by the internet. A lot of you are handicapped by social media. See, as a man, the way a man is supposed to learn primarily is through experience, and experience is the best teacher. So as a man, your principles and values should be based on your experiences, things that you've learned through experience. That shapes your principles and your values, and that's what makes your principles and values locked in. That's what makes you locked in with your character, because your character is based on things that you've gone through, pain that you've gone through, successes that you've gone through, things that are tried and true.
This is what amounts to your character. This is what amounts to your principles and values. You didn't just pick it up from something that was said to you. You picked it up by going through it to get to it. This is what amounts to your character as a man. Ideally, that's the way it's supposed to go. But unfortunately for a lot of you, and keep in mind, this isn't me playing the blame game. I'm not pointing the finger at you. I'm holding the mirror up to you so that you understand where you are, so that you can better understand where you need to go. So this ain't me just pointing the finger and blaming you and trying to make you feel bad about yourself. I know a lot of you niggas is sensitive and shit like that, but that ain't what this is. This is just me holding the mirror up to you and say, hey man, just take a good look at yourself. So again, your character based on your principles and values is supposed to come from experience, trial and error, right? But again, unfortunately, social media has handicapped a lot of y'all. And I'm not blaming social media either. It's just the way things are. And unfortunately, a lot of you have allowed yourselves to be influenced in this way. But social media is simply a tool, and you can't blame a tool for the damage that it does. You got to blame, if anybody, the user of the tool. That's just like a gun. Guns don't kill people. People with guns kill people. Right? So on that same token, a lot of you have been handicapped by social media. And the biggest way that you've been handicapped by social media is by relying on social media to give you the answers to everything, to the point where you think social media is the best shortcut ever invented. That's your shortcut to manhood. Instead of going through certain things and experiencing certain things, you would rather read about it or hear about it and learn about it from the internet. And this is what you got to understand. Some of the things that those of us have learned from experience, you might learn those same things from listening to it and reading about it on the internet. But the problem with that is you're not going to value it the same way. So you're not going to internalize it the same way. It could be the same information, the same principles and values. You're not going to internalize it the same way as somebody who went through it to get to it. So you can sit here and listen to me, and I can give you game based on things that I've experienced. I can give you information based on trial and error that I have went through, based on me having to figure things out myself. I can give you this information, but it's not going to stick to your ribs the same way it would if you went out there and got this same information yourself through trial and error. Now, if you look at it the right way, then it really can be of an advantage to you. Listening to people like myself and others on the internet who come from a true place, and they not just telling you what you want, what they think you want to hear, but giving you real game based on personal experience and personal testimony, right? It can really be of an advantage to you if you utilize it the right way. Just think about, like, you know how when you go to a bowling alley and when little kids bowl, they put those guards up so that when the little kids bowl, the ball won't go into the gutter, and the ball, it'll kind of like keep them on course. That's kind of like how you can use this game. But on the same token, for one, a little kid that's bowling like that, they still have to throw the ball. They're not just going to sit back and listen to me tell them how to throw the ball the whole day, all day, and then from there they just think they're going to be a bowling expert. No, they still have to bowl. They still have to throw that ball. And, you know, this game that's coming from somebody like myself could serve as like those guards that keep you out the gutter. But you still got to walk that path. And just like with that kid, as they grow, they become stronger, they become more agile, they become sharper in the mind, So at some point, eventually, they ain't gonna need them guards. And then once those guards come down and they throw that ball, sometimes they might land in the gutter. But as they keep going, they gonna become more accurate. They gonna become more skilled. They gonna be more on point. So on the same token, a lot of y'all, you can utilize this game, but at some point in time, you're going to have to take them steps yourself. You're going to have to walk that path yourself. And you're going to have to do not so much listening and more walking. See, that's the problem with a lot of y'all. You know, you sit up and you listen to all, and then the unfortunate thing is, you know, it's a lot of people on the internet that's full of shit. And y'all don't have the discernment to separate game from lame. So you listen to and you hold as gospel a lot of shit that comes from a lot of bullshit ass niggas who really don't even know what they talking about, and who got their information from the same way that you got it. They didn't go through it to get to it. That's the unfortunate thing for a lot of y'all. Y'all can't separate game from lame, so you don't know the difference between the real and the fake. But whatever the case, a problem that a lot of you have, and the reason why you can't separate game from lame, is because you just get into a continuity of listening to people and, you know, relying on them heavily for the answers and not relying upon yourself at all in your own experience. Some of y'all just go years and years and years, you know, listening to people for the answers. And you never even test these answers to make sure that they're accurate or not. And then when it comes time to put this information to the test, you don't even know what you're doing. When you get involved with a woman and you trying to apply some shit that you heard from one of these goofballs on the internet, you still fail and you wondering why. And you know, again, because you rely so heavily upon these people, you don't know how to separate game from lame. Who the hell that is? You don't know how to separate game from lame. So, like I said, it's okay to listen to people like myself and others on this internet. But at some point in time, you're going to have to walk that path. And as you walk that path, you're going to develop more into your manhood. And as you develop more into your manhood, when you deal with women, it's going to be in their nature to respect you. See, this is what you got to understand. Yeah, it's a lot of women out there that's out of control, but at the end of the day, it's just something that's innate in a woman. It's just something that's inherent. When they come across a real man, they know how they just fall in line. It's in their nature. They can't do nothing but respect it. And some of them might, you know, be rebellious and fight against it, but a man ain't even gonna deal with that. They ain't gonna get 2 steps ahead. They're not gonna go nowhere together because he's not gonna accept her, you know, disrespect and disobedience and chaos and all that type of shit. So because of that, they're not going to go anywhere. And then also, too, she's just going to be so uncomfortable with this manhood that she ain't going to want to go nowhere with him. So they both going to be off key and they ain't going to get nowhere. But this is only going to happen when you locked in with your manhood. So again, when you just locked in with your manhood, man, a woman is just going to naturally respect it. I told y'all the story the other day of a chick that I know that used to just disrespect every man that she came across or every male. And until she got checked, she remained that way. But once she got checked, she was just on the right path. All it took is one good checking. And from there, it was like night and day. She was a totally different woman. Now she was more ladylike. Now she was respectful. Now she wasn't just talking out the side of her neck to every male that she came across. Because one man crossed her path and showed her what real manhood is. And that's the problem. again, when you're a grown ass male and you're so impressionable that you look into the internet for all these answers, and because you're not locked in with manhood, you're looking in all the wrong places for these answers. When you present yourself to a woman, you're not presenting manhood within yourself. And that's why a lot of these chicks is out of control, because they've never been presented with real manhood. There's a difference between being an adult male and being a man. Just because you're the legal age of a man doesn't mean that you're actually a man. A lot of y'all are the legal age of a man, but you haven't developed into manhood. And as a result, you've never presented manhood to a woman. And because manhood's never been presented to her, as they say, you know, when the cat's away, the mice will play. When the men are away, the women gonna play. It's inevitable. It's within their nature. They testy. They don't know how to be any other way. But it's on you as a man to present manhood and let them know that you can't play with everybody. And you can't play with me at all. It's called a fearful respect. Just like people who believe in the Most High, they have a fearful respect for the Most High. Again, back to being godlike as a man, when you carry yourself in a godlike fashion, women are just going to have a fearful respect for you. And it doesn't mean that they're going to be, you know, fearful whenever they deal with you. It's a thing where they're fearful of being disrespectful to you because of the consequence of possibly losing you, because they value you so much. They value your manhood. They know how important your manhood is to them. So they're not going to undermine that. They're not going to underestimate that. They're not going to disrespect that. They're going to value that and respect that so that, you know, they don't lose that in their life. And see, the beautiful thing is about when you a man nowadays, man, because manhood is so rare in today's times, you know, real women who understand and appreciate manhood, they value it that much more. It ain't a whole lot of them out there, of course, because it's not a whole lot of men out there. But those women out there who understand and appreciate manhood, when they come across a real man and that man presents manhood to them, they going to value it that much more. The evidence of it is, you know, it's so many chicks out here who have dealt with sucker ass niggas, guys who are less than men. Just about every chick out there that's an adult woman has dealt with that because they're so abundant. Sucker ass niggas is just, it's like, just as easy as I just did that, it's that easy to run for a woman to run into a sucker. So, or lame, or buster, or just any kind of different brand of less than manhood. Just as easy as it is to inhale and exhale, it's that easy to run into a guy that's less than a man. So they understand what that is. Now, a lot of chicks when they're younger, you know, they have fun with that. They have fun playing with guys who don't let their nuts hang, have fun playing with guys that aren't in tune with manhood, you know, but again, at the end of the day, it's in a woman's nature to surrender herself to a man, to follow the lead of a man, to respect a man. So eventually they gonna get tired of playing with these suckers. When, like I said, when they're younger, they have fun doing that. But eventually they gonna get bored with that. They gonna get tired of that. Because in those situations, because this male is not fit to lead, you know, she gonna have to, you know, grab onto the steering wheel herself and try to figure it out best she can. And, you know, any female with some sense is gonna come to realize, like, I don't like having the steering wheel all the time. Like, I want a man that's gonna lead. Like, I know that's what a man is supposed to do. I'm tired of this shit. Having a grown ass male that I have to lead. I'm tired of that. I want a leader. I want a man that's going to be a leader. You know, again, any woman with some sense as they grow older and become, more experienced in dealing with men, they should come to that realization. Now, obviously a lot of them won't, but some of them will. But whatever the case, when they cross paths with a real man, they know what it is, even if they've never experienced it before. If they've been dealing with sucker ass niggas for 5-10 years, however long, when they come across a real man, they just fall in line with it. That's just like I told y'all a story before, and I'm gonna tell you again, right? It was this chick that I had knocked one time, and she was a highly sought after chick. Like, a lot of pimps wanted this bitch, right? In the town where we was at. A lot of pimps wanted her. A lot of pimps tried and didn't succeed in knocking her, right? So I had got up on her. And mind you, at this point in time, she had never dealt with no pimping. She had never been pimped on. She had never even gave herself a chance to get pimped on. Right? But she had entertained, a guy or two or what have you that was claiming to be some pimping. And she had told me about this situation, right? When I had got up on her, started getting action at her, she had broke down this situation to me where this dude that was supposed to be a pimp, he was on the other side of the country, and they got to talking, and she flew him in to where she was at, and he was staying at the trap room with her where she was doing her dates at, right? So he stayed with her for a week, for 7 days. And throughout this whole week, he's staying in the trap room with her. He don't have his own room. He's on her dime. She paid to fly him out, and then now she's paying for their shelter, which is her trap room. She feed him all the shit. So whenever she would catch a date, which was quite frequently, she'd have to kick him out the room. He'd have to go find somewhere, wait until she was done, and then come back. So he saw her do this over 7 days and never once asked for the money. Never once made her feel like she got to break herself to him. So as a result, throughout those 7 days, she never broke herself to him. But, at least she was ladylike enough to fly him back to where he came from. Just like she paid for his ticket to her, she paid for his ticket from her. So she flew him back home, but he came the same way he left, which was empty-handed, right? This is just an example of somebody not displaying manhood when they were supposed to, right? Because as we all say, as Andre Taylor popularized, before you could be a pimp, you got to be a man. So he didn't display no manhood to her, so definitely he couldn't display no pimping to her. So she never broke herself, right? So fast forward to her dealings with me. I remember the first time I went to go break on her, right? She was at this, 5-star hotel and shit like that. And she had let me know that she had some money. So I'm on my way over there to break on her. And as I'm headed over there, I'm going through in my mind what I'm going to have to tell, how I'm explaining to her why it's required for her to break herself to me, right? I'm running the speech through my head. So I get over there, knocks on the door. When I walk in, she opens the door for me. When I walk in, before I could say one word, she had the money in the drawer. She reached in the drawer, grabbed the money, and handed it to me. Not one word was said. So, and I'm a lot younger at this time, right? But I'm thinking to myself like, damn, this bitch just told me how she flew this one dude in, let him stay with her, let him watch her make money for 7 days, and she never once broke herself to him, and he never asked for the money, and she never felt the need to break herself to him, right? So I was just thinking to myself like, why is it that, and this is her first time breaking herself to anybody. She's never been pimped on, never tried to be pimped on, none of that. She ain't never broke herself. So why is it that her first time breaking herself to somebody, this somebody didn't even have to explain to her with his words why she should do that, or why she's going to have to do that if she want to fuck with me? Obviously, it was something in the way that I presented myself to her that made her not only feel the need to break herself to me, but want to feel good about breaking herself to me, because she felt good about it. You could just see it in her energy and everything like that. It wasn't like she broke herself to me begrudgingly. Like, oh shit, I got to get this man my money. No, she happily did that shit. Like I said, this is the first time she ever broke herself to somebody. Nothing was explained to her verbally, and she just did it. And she did it happily. You know, upbeat, light on her feet, good energy, all that shit. You know what I mean? And then it just went on from there. So, that's just an example of the power of manhood. You know, and that's the ideal situation. That's the ideal situation where, you know, nothing has to be explained, and not just when it comes to pimping and a bitch breaking on herself, but just, you know, a woman, because that's what that was ultimately. That was a woman surrendering herself to a man. That's what that was. Don't get caught up in the fact that this is a 304 breaking herself to a pimp. Deeper than that, beyond that, it was a woman surrendering herself to a man. That's what that was. Right? So what I want y'all to understand is that, you know, the ideal situation, and that says a lot about her as a woman, but nonetheless, the ideal situation is the presence of your manhood is so strong that you don't even have to say nothing out your mouth to get this woman to surrender herself to you, to get this woman to respect you, to get this woman to follow you. The presence of your manhood is so strong, it don't even have to be explained. It's explained in your demeanor. It's explained in your demeanor and your behavior and your conduct. That's how it's explained. And, you know, ideally, a woman who might not have even experienced that and seen it up close and personal, she just it's in her nature. She gonna know what it is. She gonna fall in. That's just like animals, right? Like a dog. If you throw a dog into some water, a body of water, it might be a dog that's 5-10 years old that ain't never been inside the water before. But if you throw that dog in the water, it's going to automatically know how to swim. It's in its nature. Right? So this is what you got to understand about women. It's in their nature to surrender themselves to a man, even if they've never experienced it before. They never been up close and personal with a man that they was interested in, that, you know, just exuded manhood with their presence. For a real woman, naturally, she just gonna fall in with it. Right? But again, back to a big part of the reason why women are so out of control is because a lot of you guys are so impressionable that you seek all the answers to, you know, developing your manhood off the internet, and you don't understand that when it comes to manhood, you got to go through it to get to it. And once your manhood is locked in and developed, and it's just, you know, in your nature to exude manhood, when you come around women, naturally they gonna surrender themselves. And the ones who don't, they ain't gonna last no time with you. You're gonna be able to figure them out quickly, and they're gonna be able to figure you out quickly. Because like I said, when it comes to a lot of younger women, they like that control over a man. You know, and the likelihood of them coming across a guy that they can control is high. So, you know, some of them, they get a kick out of controlling dudes. So when some of them, when they come across manhood, they're not ready. They're not mature enough. They haven't reached that point where, okay, this is what I want. I didn't even know that this is what I wanted, but now that I see it, I know that this is what I want and what I need. A lot of chicks haven't reached that point yet. A lot of them are still getting a kick out of playing with dudes. And sometimes as a man, you might cross paths with those chicks, but again, you're going to be able to figure her out quickly, and she's going to be able to figure you out quickly. Once she sees that she can't control you and, she can't play with you like she do them other guys, she going to get tired. She going to get bored with you quick, and she going to move on. And the same thing with you as a man. Once you realize that, okay, this ain't the woman that I'm looking for, you going to be done with her quick. So, yeah, man, you can't subscribe to your manhood on YouTube. You can't follow your manhood on TikTok and Instagram. You got to go through it to get to it. Man, y'all tripping, man. It's 150 of y'all up in here, but only 93 of y'all done wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain. Come on, man. Don't treat the like button like, that dude that knocked you for the bitch, man. The like button didn't knock you, man. Don't treat the like button like that nigga that bumped into you at the store, man, and didn't apologize to you, man. The like button, you didn't find the like button in the bed with the bitch, man, when you came home from work, man. The like button didn't do that to you, man. Don't treat the like button like that, man. Get acquainted with the like button, man. Hit that thing, man. Wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. The like button didn't do it to you, man. Whatever it is, man, the like button didn't do it, man. Hit that like button, man. Wipe your feet off at the door. Yeah, man. And see, this is the thing too, right? And this comes along with, developing into your manhood and getting in tune with your manhood, right? This is something that you come to understand. A lot of these chicks, especially in today's times, are accustomed to chaos. And a lot of them, chaos is their enjoyment. Chaos is their entertainment. Chaos is their comfort. With a lot of these chicks, you got to understand this, man. But even in spite of that, once again, when they come across real manhood, those of them that are inclined, will respect it. But you got to understand that nonetheless, though, a lot of these chicks, they just, they don't feel right when chaos isn't going on. So you got to understand that. And see, when you don't understand that chaos is, their comfort and their enjoyment, when you don't understand that as a man, a lot of times, man, inadvertently, without even realizing it, you're going to feed the chaos. You're going to fuel the chaos. You're going to entertain the chaos. You're going to make the chaos stronger. You're going to keep the chaos going and not even realizing it. And don't even understand to yourself like, damn, man, why is this chick, so dramatic, man? Why is it always some chaos going on? Because that shit is like candy to them. Because really, man, with a lot of these chicks, that's where they get the control from. See, most of us men, we don't find comfort in chaos. We don't find enjoyment in chaos. Most of us men are stressed out by chaos. We like peace. We like shit to be copacetic. That's in our nature as men. We don't like, stirring up bullshit. So it's unnatural to us to be in a chaotic environment as men. Like a constant chaotic environment. Now, sometimes, when you got to defend yourself or you got to fight for a certain cause or shit like that, yeah, chaos is just something that comes with the territory, but we understand that as men. We understand that this ain't going to just keep going. And we going to fight through the chaos for whatever cause we standing on. And, to reach whatever bottom line we reaching for, right? But, the chaos with these women, 9 times out of 10 is unnecessary. There is no cause that we fighting for that we got to go through to get to. The chaos is unnecessary. The chaos is just something that they feel comfortable in and that they enjoy because, they can control things within this chaos. Because like I said, as a man, we don't deal in chaos. We don't want chaos. But when we're put in a position of chaos, we not at our best. We not being ourselves. So, that's the woman's domain. That's her playground. Is the chaos. She familiar with that shit. She could walk herself in the dark through the chaos and know her way around and not bump into nothing wrong and, still be able to control everything and do what she want, how she want, when she want, where she want, all of that. Like, she's familiar with the chaos. Like you, if you was walking through your house at night with the lights off and shit, you ain't gonna bump into nothing because this your house. You familiar with it. So you ain't gonna bump into the coffee table. You're not gonna bump into the dining room table, chair, couch, none of that. Because this is your place. That's how women are with chaos. They could walk through that shit in the dark with their eyes closed, blindfolded, man, and they just gonna be right at home, man. Cause chaos is their comfort zone. But you as a man, when you step into the chaos and you decide to dance with her in the chaos, now you on her playground. You on her playing field. You in her domain. So, she's going to be able to control everything that's going on in there. So in essence, when you step into the chaos, you surrendering yourself to her. Like, yeah, nigga, this my house. I control this shit here, so when you come into here, you bound down to me. And a lot of guys don't even understand that that's what they wrapped up in. That's what they involved in. When you step into that chaos, you're surrendering yourself to her. And some dudes they stepped into the chaos and they just been in a cycle of chaos for decades. Some dudes been in a cycle of chaos with a chick for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And then some dudes, they so used to the chaos, they think that's the way it's supposed to be. So they step out of one cycle of chaos with one chick and step into another cycle of chaos with another chick because they think that's just how it's going to be. They just see, and that's a problem that a lot of guys got too. They just chalk it up as, all women is crazy. This is just something that we going to have to deal with. Nah, not when you a man. And see, unlike a lot of people on the internet, I'm telling you some shit that I know from experience. Because I've dealt with chaotic women and I've dealt with women that surrender themselves with no problem and follow my lead with no problem. I'm not talking about some hypothetical shit that I think is supposed to go this way. No, this is some shit that I know is supposed to go this way because I've experienced it. I've lived it. I'm not one of these nerd ass niggas that read about this shit or, something like that or listen to somebody else who knew about it while I didn't go through it to get to it myself. And that somebody else went through it to get to it. No, I went through this shit myself to get to this shit myself. So that's why I know. Right. And like I said, I done been in them chaotic situations. And just as a man, I realized looking at that shit in retrospect that, I was surrendering myself to the bitch. It's so cold that even as the pimping, a lot of us do this. Just imagine that, you a pimp and you think that you're in control because this bitch is breaking herself to you every day, but you don't understand that that's all a part of the chaos. Her breaking herself to you is her way of keeping you involved in the chaos. It just reminds me of this one cat that I know, man. Man, This one guy that I know, man, you know, he had this chick that was tearing him off. Just breaking herself with hunks and chunks to this man, like ridiculously, right? Like so much money that it'll make you sick. You know, but it was so much chaos with this woman that this man was putting himself through with this woman just for this money. And he had this chick for years. He had her for about, you know, good 3-4 years, maybe 5 or whatever, right? But he had her for years. And the type of money that she was giving him consistently over those years, you would think that a pimp would walk away from that situation with a whole lot. But when he walked away from that situation, he walked away with nothing. Because it was chaos throughout the whole time that he had her. Right? And he not realizing this because he a big tough guy, you know, and shit like that, and some pimping and been pimping all these years and all of that. He a veteran and all that, but you know, nonetheless, he done surrendered himself to this bitch by being involved in her chaos. You know, so it was a type of situation where she'll break herself to him for 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. But as soon as she breaks herself to him, she'll figure out a way for him to spend that money right back on her. Right? So you think you're doing some pimping by her breaking herself to you for everything, every time. But, you know, if it's a situation where every time you get your hands on this money, you find yourself spending it right back on her, and you don't even understand how and why. And then when you look up, it ain't even really nothing to show for it. It ain't nothing like of substance to show for this, right? That's one way that she was controlling him within the chaos. And then also within the chaos, how she was controlling him was, you know, with other ladies that he would have in his household. It was so many games that she would play to control all of that. You know, so that whenever other women came into his household, you know, she controlled everybody with the chaos. She controlling him, her folks with the chaos, and she controlling her wifeys with the chaos. And it was so cold the way she was controlling him with the chaos that he used to think this shit was cool. The way that she would control her wifeys with the chaos. You know, she would like, you know, play little mind games with them and manipulate them and, you know, make them feel less than because she was getting so much money and they wasn't, trapping the way that she was trapping. You know, he would get a kick out of this shit. He thought this shit was like some fly hoeing or something, you know, but, it was really her way of controlling everything with the chaos. Because if she was, you know, in tune with womanhood and surrendering herself to him as a man, and he presented manhood to her the way that he was supposed to, and therefore pimping the way that he was supposed to, the way that was supposed to go was, yeah, you might be handing me a whole bunch of like ridiculous amounts of money, but this money is never going to purchase your control over me. You're not going to be able to control me with this money, bitch, because I'll be on the side of the road broke before I let you control me, bitch. You know, he didn't stand on it like that. She knew and he knew that she can control him with this money. Right? And then furthermore, like I said, so if manhood was really presented the way it was supposed to be, she would understand that. And therefore, she wouldn't be trying to control him with the chaos because she know it ain't going to go nowhere because he's a man. He's standing on his manhood, right? So the way it was supposed to go, she should have been surrendering herself and not even testing his pimping like that and still giving him this same ridiculous amount of money, right? Then on top of that, when it comes to the wifeys, instead of trying to make them feel inferior and less than, she would be an inspiration to them. She would, lift them up. She would, empower them as best she could by being an example of, this is how you supposed to be with this man, right? This is the type of 304 you supposed to be for him. And make them feel, good about being in the household. Make them feel good about being your wifey, right? But you see, the key to it is the manhood. Presenting the manhood. That's the key to it. Then she's going to be able to present womanhood at her best and therefore hoeing at her best. Right? But again, that manhood is crucial, man. And if manhood ain't presented and you decide to engage with this woman and be involved with this woman in spite of the manhood being absent, then in essence, you really surrendering yourself to this bitch. And she's going to control you with the chaos. And what you got to understand too is that chaos doesn't always look dramatic. Chaos is just disorder. And disorder doesn't always have to be loud. It doesn't always have to be dramatic. But nonetheless, it's disorder. And a lot of y'all fall for the slick chaos. While a lot of y'all fall for the loud, obnoxious, obvious chaos, a lot of y'all fall for the slick chaos too. And a lot of y'all fall for the slick chaos because you like the way this woman make you feel in the bedroom. A lot of pimps fall for that too. Some of them fall for the chaos in exchange for the money, surrender themselves to the bitch in exchange for the money, and allow her to control him in exchange for the money. But then a lot of y'all fall for the chaos in exchange for the intimacy and in exchange for the bedroom games. A lot of y'all fall for the chaos in exchange for that. And see, that transcends beyond the pimping and into the square world and across all males throughout all walks of life, period. It's all different kinds of guys that fall for the slick chaos. And, I don't want you to think that the guys in the game, the quote unquote pimps, are exempt from falling for the slick chaos, because it's a lot of dudes in the game falling for the slick chaos. And I'll go as far as to say is right now, it's over half. So you could say the majority of guys in the game right now is falling for the slick chaos. You know what I mean? That's why you got a lot of dudes that will turn into a tough guy with a pimp and try to put their goon hand down on the pimp, and be a henchman for the bitch because they falling for the slick chaos. She got him wrapped so tightly around her finger with that thing that's between her legs that, he ready to crash out and run up on anybody, any kind of way to, Kevin Costner bodyguard this bitch. Right? So yeah, man, it's a whole lot of dudes in the game that's supposed to be the pimping that fall for this type of shit. I've encountered quite a few of them throughout my time in the game. You dig? I've encountered quite a few Kevin Costners in my day. And it'd be obvious, man. You could smell that shit on their ass. But yeah, these are guys that fall for the slick chaos. And, it's a lot of square men that fall for the slick chaos too. Some of y'all that's watching right now, you probably falling for the slick chaos as we speak. Letting this woman control you because you like what's going on between her legs so much that, you surrendering yourself to her and her chaos and she's comfortable because chaos is her playground, and she just controlling your every move. You know, and yeah, man. What I want y'all to understand is that this doesn't happen when you present manhood, because there's no room for it. Just like darkness and light can't exist in the same place at the same time, manhood and chaos ain't gonna exist in the same place at the same time. It's either is chaos in the relationship and she's controlling you by it or with it and you're surrendering yourself to it, or it's manhood within a relationship and chaos just can't breathe in it. Chaos can't breathe in a situation where, you know, manhood is abiding. Ain't no room for the chaos. Come on, man. It's 182 of y'all up in here, but only 142 of y'all done wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain. Come on, man. Y'all know better than that, man. Y'all been watching a pimp for a minute, man. Y'all know what to do when you come up in here, man. You know, it don't cost nothing. You don't have to purchase the like button. You know, the like button ain't like the bitch. You ain't got a trick on the like button, man. Come on, man. You know, all you got to do is touch it one time, man. Just touch it one time. Come on, man. Let me see y'all touch it, man. Touch the like button one time, man. Come on, man. If you ain't touched that like button, man, just touch it one time. Just, it feel good, man. You know, especially when you see it, you know, light up and turn into a thumb and shit like that, and it turn dark or white, you know, go from being hollow and then it fills up and shit like that, man. Come on, man. You know, the like button ain't did nothing to you, man. Go ahead and hit that joint one time. But yeah, man, let's go back to what I kind of breezed past a little bit earlier in live, as far as, you know, guys' behavior on the internet and that factoring into why women are so out of control. A lot of y'all are acting just like these women. See, women, when they have issues, they react emotionally, as was said earlier, right? And within these emotional reactions, they cry about things. So it's not surprising to see women on the internet crying about this, that, and the third that they have a problem with. That's not surprising at all. But what is or should be surprising is men. Throngs of men, a plethoras of men on the internet crying about how women are. See, when you standing on manhood, it's a difference, right? Now, when you're not standing on manhood and you call yourself addressing issues with women, you might present the issue, but at the same time, you're not presenting a solution. So ultimately what you're doing is being like a woman to try to correct the woman. You can't correct the bitch if you being like the bitch. So but that's what a lot of y'all are doing, though. A lot of y'all will point the finger and say women need to do this and women need to do that and women ain't doing this and women ain't doing that. But at the same time, you're not presenting a solution. See, women, when they cry, again, it's not surprising that they don't present the solution along with the problem. You know, but as a man, when you diagnose the problem, you got to be able to prescribe the solution at the same time. See, a lot of y'all can diagnose the issue, but you can't prescribe the solution at the same time. And if you knew what the solution really was, you wouldn't be on the internet crying about these bitches. because you know the solution is yourself. You know the solution is manhood, right? And, all of us are individuals, so as an individual man, you can only do so much as an individual, but, look at what all of these different individuals collectively add up to on the internet. All these different individual males on the internet collectively add up to a bunch of guys, a category of guys who are just, fueling the problem, fueling the chaos. See, what you got to understand is, females, like I said, they're comfortable within the chaos. So, if you get down in the mud with them and fight with them in the chaos, you're going to stay getting your ass whooped because this is their domain. This is where they belong. This is where they feel comfortable at. This is what they know. But you as a man getting down in the mud and fighting the chaos with them, this is an unfamiliar terrain to you. It's unnatural. You don't belong there. And that's what you do. That's what you resort to every time you get on the internet and cry about what women are doing and what they not doing and all this, crying about your issues with women and all this type of shit. That's what you're doing every time. You're getting down in the mud and fighting the chaos with them. And that's not going to solve anything. Just think about it. Think about how long guys been on the internet doing that now and how much further, how many steps towards progress have we made as a result of guys getting on the internet crying about women. We ain't made one step towards progress at all. What you gonna do? What are you going to display as a man that's gonna be a part of the solution? A lot of you dudes get on platforms and cry about women. And then even more of you guys are in the comment section, sympathizing with the spokesperson for the crybabies. You sympathizing with them in the comment section. Man, that's real. These bitches ain't this and these bitches ain't that. Man, that's real. What's real is that all of y'all have surrendered yourself to the bitch. What's real is that all of y'all have handed your balls over and are wrapped up in the chaos just for the sake of, being involved with this chick and whatever benefit it means to you, whether it's financial or intimately or what have you, or convenience or whatever. You done exchanged your balls for that. So, yeah, man, the crying on the internet, man, that's a big issue that fuels the problem. And if you pay attention, you're not doing anything better than them. Like I said, women, it's expected for them to do that. But as a man, see, women gonna do it and they can't present the solution and be the solution because it's not their place to lead. They can try, but when they cry about something, they can't be the solution. As a man, you can be the solution. You're supposed to be the solution. So, when you on the internet crying, you're not being the solution, man. You fueling the problem. You're a part of the problem. And that ain't going to change nothing. And see, but you got to understand also as a man, right? There's already so many things working against you as a man, especially in America. It's already so much shit working against you and for these women being out of control. They got so many weapons and resources and fuel and just everything that factors into them being out of control. And to add insult to injury, a lot of y'all dudes is on the internet being just like them, which adds more strength to the chaos, more strength to them being out of control. See, when you really a man, you already understand like, damn, man, it's already so much shit working against me. It's all this feminism shit feminist shit going on and Me Too movement shit going on, even though that done kind of died down, is still in effect in a lot of ways. And a lot of ideologies that come from that is still in effect. But, you know, all of these different things, man, you know, then, you know, busters, again, like I said, with big platforms and voices that reach far and wide, they, you know, keep these bitches strong and they out of controlness and chaos and all of that. It's just so many things, man. So many things working against manhood. You know, they want every guy, especially every black man, they want you to have a limp wrist. They want every black man to be like this. That's what you got to understand as a man. You know, they want us to be like this, all of us. Now, you know, naturally, just the way shit is, man, some of us is going to end up like this. But all of us ain't supposed to be like this. But that's what they want. Right? And all of that factors into them being out of control. Because the more motherfuckers is like this, the more they gonna be out of control. The more soft, feminine, tender-hearted, limp wrist guys are out there, the more women is gonna be out of control. Right? So you gotta look at it like that too. Like, you might as well be one of them. You might as well be one of the limp wrist guys if you just gonna surrender yourself to the woman and abide in her chaos and let her be out of control. You might as well be one of them. For real. And see, you know, hey man, a lot of, and this is the thing too, man. And this is why you got so many busters in control and empowered and, you know, having their way in doing things, because people think that there's innocence in just watching somebody and being entertained by somebody. And there's no innocence in that. You know, when you have these guys that have big platforms that basically encourage men to be less than, encourage males to be less than men, a lot of y'all are just entertained by that type of shit, but what you don't understand is that you're complicit in it as well. You are part of the problem when you make up that audience. You might think to yourself like, oh, I'm just one person, man, and I'm watching this shit, so, it can't be too harmful. I'm just watching it. You know, I'm just subscribed to them. I'm just following them. You know, but you complicit in the bullshit though. You know, one of the most vivid examples, and this don't necessarily have to just do with women being out of control, but at the same time, it does play a role in it. But, you know, watching these buster ass platforms, you know, that the people in charge of these platforms don't have integrity. And then the guys that, you know, are a part of this platform, they don't have integrity either, and they're not standing on nothing, and they compromising their manhood, you know, and you watching this shit, being entertained by it, you complicit in it. You playing a part of it. You part of the problem. You're not part of the solution at all. You know? Just like, again, like I said, one of the most vivid examples is No Jumper. You know, that guy that is the head of No Jumper, he doesn't have integrity at all. He doesn't have integrity. He don't really stand for nothing. He contradicts himself. Like, he's really a walking contradiction. And then to add insult to injury, you have all of these guys who surrender their balls just for, you know, some crumbs, some kibbles and bits that they really could get on their own if they just do their own thing. You know, so they all have the same thing in common, that they don't stand for anything. You know, like Adam 22, He don't stand for nothing. He don't have no character. He don't have integrity. You know, he'll do anything for clicks and views. And then you have all of these guys who, you know, because within his lack of integrity and lack of character, he's just a disrespectful individual. Adam 22 is. You know, he's just highly disrespectful. And adding insult to injury is all of these brothers that come from the hood that represent different communities and shit like that throughout LA. You know, they come up there and engage with this guy and fuel this guy and keep this guy empowered, you know, letting him disrespect them and their people over and over and over and over and over again. So it's just a big circus act where nobody has respect for one another. Nobody is standing on nothing. And then you as a male, when you're entertained by shit like that, you part of the problem, because, you know, that platform encourages a lack of manhood. It encourages you to be less than a man, right? And you might think to yourself like, well, you know, they don't really talk about dealing with women, man, or being in relationships and things like that. So how does that factor into women being out of control? See, when you a man and you standing on manhood, that same manhood that commands the respect from a woman, it transcends in everything that you do. So me, just like a woman is going to surrender herself to me because, you know, the way that I'm presenting manhood to her, on that same token, that same manhood won't allow me to support a platform like that. That same manhood won't allow me to even watch one episode or be subscribed to that shit or like one anything. That same manhood that makes a woman respect me ain't gonna allow me to do that. Right? See, dudes be doing buster ass, punk ass shit in other, you know, realms of life. And then when they come over here to deal with women and women treat them like the buster that they are, they don't understand why. See, like I said, you got to be a man first in everything that you do. So when it's just in you to be a man, you don't do no buster shit nowhere. Whether you dealing with women or you dealing with other men, you just don't do no buster shit nowhere. And, you know, on that same token, you know, y'all entertain a lot of shit that you ain't got no business entertaining. And you wonder why women don't respect you the way that they should. Right? And, you know, this is, man, this game is powerful, boy. I tell you. Hold on, man. Hey, if you ain't wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain, please do so now. Hit that like button. Man, a lot of y'all got this bad too, man. Just being feminine in a certain type of way in front of these women. What do I mean by that? The gossiping shit. Hey, man. And a lot of y'all know y'all be doing this shit too, but a lot of y'all will sit up on the phone with friends of yours and gossip with them in front of your woman. You will sit up there and gossip with people on the phone about other men in front of your woman. Or you'll be sitting around in the presence of other men. You and other men will be sitting together, whether you at the crib or somewhere, but y'all all sitting together and you gossiping. You and your partners, you and your male cohorts is gossiping with each other in front of this woman or in front of these women. gossiping about different bitches that you don't like, gossiping about different men that you don't like, gossiping about the latest gossipy ass news that you don't seen on the Shade Room or, you know, other platforms like that, but just gossiping and being messy with other grown ass males in front of these women. A lot of y'all got that shit bad. And see, like I said, the same spirit that lets you get in the mud and wrestle with these bitches in the chaos and surrender yourself to these women in the chaos and let them control you is the same spirit that'll let you be entertained by No Jumper and all this old type of shit, because that's another thing that they got bad too on that platform. They sit up and gossip about each other and other men that they don't like and bitches that they don't like and all that type of shit. It's just a big catty ass, gossipy ass, feminine ass platform with a bunch of, you know, grown males on there. That same spirit that allows you to do all of that allows you to sit around with your partners, other grown ass males, and gossip about people and things in front of these women. And you think that a woman is supposed to respect you after she see that. And some of y'all do that shit all the time. Another thing y'all got bad, man. See, I know this game, man. Hey, man, a lot of y'all be sitting up on Bigo in front of the bitch. You know, being messy with bitches, being messy with guys. You know, being, you know, dramatic and messy and catty and all this feminine ass shit. You'll be sitting there in the bed with your bitch on platforms like Bigo and Clubhouse and all that shit, gossiping and shit like that. And you think a woman supposed to respect you after that. You think she supposed to surrender herself to you after seeing all this shit. Do a lot of you guys ever think about what a day in your life is like? You know what I mean? Like, first of all, you always in your phone. You don't never take a break from this motherfucker and let your mind breathe. You constantly going on this phone all the time. And within you going on this phone all the time, you watching the Shade Room. You watching dumb shit, laughing at dumb shit that ain't even really funny, being entertained by bullshit. You ain't never engaging in anything of substance on this phone, because it's one thing to just be on this motherfucker all the time and being entertained by bullshit, but then it's another thing, at least when, you know, you're engaging with things of substance on here. Because just like it's a lot of bullshit on this phone, it's a lot of things of substance on this phone too that you could be engaging in, you know, learning from, feeding, being fed by, all that. You know, there's things of substance on here as well, but you don't fuck with none of that. You be on here staying up with all the gossip, all the latest drama, all that shit. And then on top of that, you live on Bigo in front of your woman, gossiping with other females, gossiping with other guys, you know, being messy with all of them in front of your woman. You know, and then, you know, getting around with the fellas, y'all playing video games with each other and gossiping about different motherfuckers that you don't like in front of this woman. That's a day in the life for a lot of you dudes. You know, so you can't get on these platforms. You can't get in these comment sections. You can't make content complaining about how women are out of control when you yourself are out of control. Because if you sitting up on the internet gossiping with females and gossiping with guys about people that you don't like and that you're really jealous of and all that type of shit, you don't think that woman can't see that you jealous of these people? But you doing all of that, then you get around with your homeboys and you gossiping with them in front of this bitch. You ain't never talking about anything of substance. You never talking about plans and ideas. You just talking about other people in front of this woman all the time. What makes you think she gonna respect that? You know, this is what a lot of y'all got bad. But you think you're gonna garner some kind of respect from this woman, you know, and you can't sit up and complain about women on all throughout the internet when this is what you're doing on a daily. This is your life. This is your lifestyle. You live in the lifestyle of a woman in a male's body. You live in the lifestyle of a woman in a male's body and then want to sit up and complain about how these women is out of control. But this is your life. See, a lot of y'all think you safe behind this internet, but you got people like me that know the game. You got people like me that can recognize an apple that came from an apple tree, that came from an apple seed, right? See, a lot of y'all think that because the internet can only see the apple, they can't see where the apple came from. But motherfuckers like me with this game, I know where it come from. You know, I know how to pick shit apart and break shit down and see where it came from and see why it came and all that type of shit. And again, like I said, this ain't me pointing the finger. This is me holding the mirror up to you and saying, man, look at yourself. This is what you've been running from. Yeah, look at yourself. You look like a man, but are you behaving like a man? Are you being a man? Look at yourself in this mirror. You see something that look like a man, but what you looking at don't behave like a man. Yeah, you got facial hair and, you know, big masculine body and all that shit. But you behaving like somebody that's full of estrogen and barely any testosterone. That's what you behaving like. You behaving like a soft leg motherfucker. You know, that's what you behaving like. You behaving like somebody that has a monthly cycle and ovaries and fallopian tubes and all that shit. That's what you behaving like. You ain't behaving like what you look like. You dig? And the truth hurts sometimes, man, but hey, the truth is the truth. One thing about a man, we embrace the truth no matter how painful it is, no matter how discomfortable it is. We gonna face the truth. We gonna embrace the truth as men. That's what we do. You know, and I know a lot of y'all, you know, you yourselves ain't really familiar with manhood, and that's what allows you to do a lot of this sucker ass shit that you do on the internet. Because a lot of y'all didn't have no father figure or no type of male influence in your life coming up. You know, so a lot of y'all need somebody like Uncle Freeze to hold that mirror up to you and show you like, hey man, this is who you are. This is what you look like. This ain't what you behaving like. You know? But yeah, man. This is why women are out of control. Because you are out of control. You as a male that's supposed to be a man, you are out of control. This is why these chicks is out of control. Right? They gonna be who they gonna be, man. You know, I can't really fault them for them being the way that they are. Especially when you not being the way that you supposed to be. It'd be different if it was a whole bunch of men walking around standing on manhood, and in spite of that, these women were still out of control. That would be a whole different conversation. That would be something totally different. But that's not the case. The reality is these women are out of control because there's so many guys that are out of control right along with them. You know, and within them being out of control and within you being out of control, another thing that factors into it is, you know, you guys just being so desperate and thirsty. It's so many desperate and thirsty ass niggas out here. It's disgusting. You know, it's so many guys out here being a doormat to a bitch. You know, it's disgusting. You know, letting the bitch wipe her feet off on your back when she enter a sucker's domain. You know what I mean? There's so many of y'all walking around. It's disgusting. You know, it's crazy, man. You know, a lot of y'all dudes, man, you bend over backwards and you try so hard to, you know, get the approval of women just for them to, spit in your face and you still trying. A bitch can spit in your face and you still trying to please her. You still bending over backwards. Like I talked about not too long ago, a lot of you dudes be in the comment section of the shade room. Every time a guy is being condemned for something, and accused by a female, which a lot of times it'd be false accusations. But anytime a man is being condemned and a man is being bashed, a lot of you dudes run to the comment section. You push bitches to the side and knock them down and get them out the way to beat them to the comment section. And I've done it before. I've been on live before and went to a random post on the shade room just to show you, and let's see if we could do it again. Just to show you how you guys are. And you think that a woman is going to, be respectful and be ladylike and be feminine when all of you dudes is so many of y'all acting like this, acting like your mama. And see, XXXM2U1M say, I wait for all the facts. But see, even if it is facts though, you got to understand, man, men just don't engage in gossip like that. And see, that's a problem. People have made it acceptable for guys to engage in this type of shit. Guys think it's okay, even if it's true, that this guy did XYZ to this chick. See, when you in tune with your manhood, you just don't even know how to engage in that type of shit. And this shit been going on since really before social media became what it is now. Because like with the Chris Brown and Rihanna situation, it's just a prime example, right? Now, when Chris Brown, had the encounter that he had with Rihanna, you had a lot of bitch ass niggas that couldn't wait to come out the woodworks and, bash him and point the finger. See, what you got to understand is, hey, man, the women got that, and they got that part covered. They got that covered. When a guy do something and everybody runs to social media to bash him and condemn him and all that shit. God damn. Hey, y'all, hold on just a second. Stay right there. Don't go nowhere. It's going to take about 15 seconds. Hold on. Okay. Just like that, we right back. Now, let me see something. Just a second. Okay, now let's see. Let's give you an example, right? Okay, now we on the shade room, right? Now, I don't even follow the shade room. I don't go to the shade room. The shade room ain't even in my algorithm, thank God, fortunately, man. That shit don't even pop up in my explore section and none of that. I don't fuck with the shade room at all, right? So I don't have a clue what's on here. And the last time I probably came on here was the last time I did what I'm about to do right now, which I can't even remember how long ago that shit was. But let's see. Wow, that shit is crazy. See, it be shit like this, man. That's why I can't even. Happy 19th birthday to Zaya Wade. See, shit like that, man. That's why I can't follow it. I don't know how y'all do it, man. I don't know how y'all do that shit, man. How do y'all follow this shit, man? Stunner girl arrested for failing to appear in court for 2017 involvement involving trespassing and resisting officer. I'm trying to find like some shit that got to. I know it's something on here about a guy. They always got something on here bashing a dude. Shit crazy, man. Pooh Shiesty's father granted bond release. Huh. Now let's see what they talking about on here. I'm just curious, right? Let's see what the comment section look like on this post. First of all, let's read about this from 2 days ago. Pooh Shiesty's father, Lontrell Williams Sr., has been granted bond and will be released from federal custody while his case remains pending in Texas. According to Fox 13 Memphis, Williams Sr. is among several defendants, including Pooh Shiesty and rapper Big 30, who are facing federal charges connected to an alleged robbery and kidnapping incident that took place at a Dallas recording studio earlier this year. Prosecutors allege the group lured Gucci Mane to the studio under the pretense of discussing business and recording music. Investigators claim that during the meeting, victims were robbed of cash and jewelry while Gucci Mane was allegedly forced to sign documents at gunpoint. A jury for Pooh Shiesty and 8 others is set for July 6th. Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Okay, so damn. Shit fucking with my eyes. That's how you know, man, the shade room fucking with my eyes, man. This shit crazy. Damn. My eyes are so pimpish, man. My pimpish ass eyes won't even let me read this shit. The pimping in me is fucking with my eyes, man. Like, come on, pimp. You can't read this shit, pimp. Come on, pimp. Don't do it, pimp. Now, QC So Dope says, I wish all y'all would ride for God the way y'all do Pooh Shiesty. Now, is this a guy? I don't know. It might be. Look at this. I am Calvin. Dudes just be so catty in these comments. The real Holiday Rich would sound like a guy. He going straight to Vlad TV. Mr. Cool Beard Guy. They must have gave him some KFC. Midwest Key, I don't know if that's a guy or a girl. Reese Cup looked like a chick. The real Nick looked like it might be a guy. He still got Popeye's crumbs on his lips. He was in there singing. Shit crazy, man. Like, people think this type of shit is cool and for guys to do. Is this a guy? Kyle the rapper. Gucci probably farted when he seen this shit. I don't know, man. This shit just... Rich lifestyle, Shorty Red, Shorty Dread. Pops told everything. Right after the evidence got processed. I don't know, man. See, you know, now, so basically everybody in the comment section, a lot of guys, as well as the chicks, you know, like I said, it's to be expected from these females, but a lot of these dudes is like just putting a snitch jacket on his father with no evidence. And see, this is another problem that a lot of dudes got. And, you know, in spite of these problems, they think a woman is just supposed to respect this type of shit. But, you know, guys on the internet are kings of spreading misinformation. Now, at this point, there's no evidence that anybody told on anybody. But dudes treat this shit like it's a soap opera when it's real life people in real life situations going on. And you got all these dudes just spreading this misinformation about Gucci's father, you know, doing something out of line. Not even knowing what's going on. So, you know, it be shit like that. Just like with the whole Young Ant situation when everybody was putting all these false allegations on Young Ant Hefe not too long ago. You know, they was putting bodies on him that didn't belong with him, putting him at scenes of different crimes that he didn't have no part of, you know. And then when the facts come out, like this morning, Alex Alonso from Street TV released a video with the affidavit from the LAPD about, you know, why they, you know, got warrants for Young Ant Hefe and the other people that was allegedly involved or being accused. And, you know, now the facts is out there. Now there's proof that all these different dudes with these different platforms was lying on Young Ant. But do you think they're going to have the integrity to walk back their statements and apologize for putting out misinformation? No. No, because they too busy acting like they mama. You know, they don't have no problem just putting out false information and they don't feel no type of way about it. See, me as a man, I would feel bad if I put something out there and then it was proven to be false. Like, even if I genuinely believed it was true and it was proven to be false, that's going to condemn me. So I'm going to have to get on here and clear that up on some man shit and apologize to the people for putting out some wrong information, right? But these dudes, you know, they intentionally put out false information just for the sake of, you know, clicks and views. And then, you know, these will be the same guys that'll complain about why women are out of control. But look at what type of guy you are. And then, you know, if you're the type of guy that's entertained by this type of shit, then you're no better. And that's what I mean. Like again, with the shit with Young and Hefe, you know, some of y'all dudes be sitting up watching Poetic Flacco in front of your woman. How you watching Poetic Flacco in front of your woman, man? Like, for real, though. Don't you know she can see you, man? Like, your woman, she's watching you watch this shit, man. Like, and it's Poetic Flacco. This fat, stanky, stuttering ass, funny looking motherfucker to get on there and lie about everything and everybody. And, you know, disrespects the very people, like, you know, he really a lot like Adam 22. The sad part about it is that Flacco just so happened to be a black guy. But, you know, just like Adam 22 don't respect his audience in the culture that he sponges off of, leeches off of, and eats off of, just like Vlad TV is the same way, Poetic Flacco is the same way. Poetic Flacco leeches off of and eats off of a culture that he has no respect for. But because it's entertaining, people are entertained by it, they'll sit up and watch that shit, man. But y'all be watching that shit in front of your woman, man. That's crazy. You might as well be watching Wendy Williams in front of your woman. You know? But, you know, here's another example with this post of, you know, guys getting on the internet not having no problem spreading false information. Oh, I could just tell. As soon as I read the headline of this shit, I know they probably on here tearing Tristan up. Khloe Kardashian says she forced Tristan Thompson to get a vasectomy as part of an ultimatum. And just shit like that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Man, that's crazy. This the type of shit I'm talking about. This the type of shit y'all be entertained by. Now, just reading the headline, I'm like, what type of bitch ass shit is that? What type of shit is that, man? She forced him to get a vasectomy as part of an ultimatum. She gave this man an ultimatum and he said, okay, and went and got his shit snipped. That's crazy. Listen, man, I don't give a damn what's going on, man. Ain't nothing going on that's good enough to make me compromise. Nah, hell no. Nah. And then Tristan Thompson is a young man. You know, he not the youngest, but I'm a young man and he younger than me. I ain't getting snipped. If I want to have some kids, I'm going to have some kids. That shit crazy. This type of shit people be entertained by. Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson got candid about family planning while chatting on Khloe's Khloe in Wonderland podcast. See, just that there. You know what I mean? Like, Tristan Thompson, man, you a grown ass man, a big ass grown ass man at that, and you're on a Khloe in Wonderland podcast. That's like Will Smith going to Red Table Talk, man. Like, let the women have their shit, man. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. That shit is strange to me, man. First, Will Smith goes on Red Table Talk. Now you got Tristan Thompson on Khloe in Wonderland. Man, this shit crazy, man. And see, this is what I'm talking about. See, Khloe is a prime example of what I was talking about earlier as far as the slick chaos. She got the slick chaos going on. Anytime a female gives you an ultimatum, say, look, either it's going to be like whoopty whoopty whoop, or it's going to be like da 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 da. Bitch, you don't give me no damn ultimatum. Who the hell is you? That's crazy. But this is the type of shit going on. The former couple opened up about, and then they ain't even together no more. Tristan getting a vasectomy, with Khloe admitting she forced him to do it as part of an ultimatum. And you know what's crazy? If the tables was turned, hypothetically speaking, let's just say that, let's just say hypothetically speaking that women, just like a guy who's 80 years old can impregnate a woman, let's say that women had the capability of being pregnant at 80 years old. So if a woman could be pregnant at 80 years old, then, Khloe, she's fairly young. She's quite a ways from 80 years old, right? So let's say, Tristan was to get on here and say he forced her to have some type of operation where she could no longer have kids. This is all, can you imagine how that would go? How they would tear him up on the internet? But see, all of this has to do with why women are out of control, because guys go for this type of shit and allow women to control them in this way, and manhood is absent. Anytime you let a woman force you to make a decision like that, manhood is absent. Manhood ain't in the house. Manhood done ran away from home. Manhood got a knapsack like this, man, and said, man, I ain't got no place here, man. I'm out of here. Manhood crept through the back window, man. Nah, not manhood, because manhood gonna go through the front door. Manhood had the knapsack like this, man, and said, man, deuces, man, I'm out of here, man. This ain't the place for me, man. You talking about getting snipped and all that, bitch giving you ultimatums and shit like that, man. Hell no, I'm out of here. Manhood is absent. Shit crazy, man. Tristan also shared that he doesn't want any more children unless they come from embryos he bought from Khloe. Man, what? Saying he has enough baby mamas and doesn't need any more. Man, that's crazy. God damn. So in order for him to have kids, he got to buy embryos from her? Man, like I said, man, manhood packed up and left a long time ago, man. This shit crazy. Let's look at the comments, man. Surprisingly, it looked like it's mostly women on here. The real James Baldwin. Basically, if he cheats, he can't get another woman pregnant. That ain't too bad. But I don't know, man. Just the fact that there's men on here comment, man, that shit wild. Paging Dr. Morg. God let me be good father to my daughter that she never be this simple-minded. Jared Michael says, I'd rather just not be with that person if I'm going to try to control their body. I don't know, man, this shit. I guess they ain't tearing them up because it's really something. See, and that's the thing. They not going to tear up Khloe, which, men shouldn't do that either. But ain't nobody, tearing her up in the comment section. But like I said, if it was a guy doing some shit like this, they'd be tearing him up. But the bottom line is guys shouldn't engage in none of this type of shit anyway, whether it's tearing a woman up or tearing another guy up. That's crazy. She got that man so whipped, so controlled by the chaos. And I know they probably done convicted him before the court could. Oh, I got to look at that Kevin Hart one after this because I know they probably tearing Kevin Hart ass up. I know that. Looks like first of all, streamer Dean the Great arrested in Miami on an attempted robbery charge. Looks like the boxer and streamer, or the influencer, boxer and streamer, Dean the Great, has found himself in trouble after being arrested in Miami-Dade County. According to TMZ, Dean, whose real name is Nuruddin Shabazz, was booked Wednesday morning and is currently being processed at the Turner Guilford TGK, in other words, that's what people call it, TGK, Correctional Center in Miami. Authorities say the alleged situation started after a woman accused Dean of trying to take her phone after she was kicked off a yacht. The woman claimed Dean grabbed her arm and attempted to take her phone, leaving a minor scratch. Man, this shit crazy. And these niggas do not learn, man. That shit crazy. God damn. The alleged incident was also reportedly captured during a live stream. And these niggas record everything. Record themselves doing crimes all the time. Police also say ring camera footage from the yacht allegedly showed Dean trying to stop the woman from recording while attempting to take her phone as she tried to get away. At this time, records show Dean was arrested on a felony attempted strong arm robbery charge, with his bond still listed as to be set. Damn. Let's see what the fellas is saying. Don't. That look like a chick. I'd just be curious to see what these dudes are saying on these types of platforms, man. Selena Powell said bond is posted like she the one posted it. Surprisingly, it ain't a lot of guys on this post that don't look like. They ain't really tearing him up as far as the guys. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Then again, maybe I just ain't scrolled far enough. I'm curious to see what they talking about with Kevin Hart, though. Let's see what they talking about with Kevin Hart.
Oh, they're saying that I can't say this. I said, who's saying? I'm talking to people and they saying I should really think about the jokes. I said, who? Sure, you didn't talk to me. Sure, you're going to do whatever you want. That's why you're here.
So you didn't. They also said that you saw the jokes beforehand. So you green.
Why am I reading jokes beforehand?
I don't
You
so
the
I
boss.
can
That's
not
why people
laugh,
think.
so I can be in the chair.
Because you're in charge.
Yeah, you're in charge, so people think that everything falls back on you.
You're never guarding, like you're not acting as a know-all and do-all at the top. Comedians, I need to see everything y'all doing before y'all. That's not what comics do. No comics operate like that. So from Pete to Naeem to Big J to Cheryl to Chelsea, Jeff Ross. I said Cheryl. I I want you to do the roast. Cheryl said, well, Kevin, I don't know. They're saying that I can't say this. I said, who's saying? I'm talking to people and they saying I should really think about the jokes. I said, who? Sure, you didn't talk to me. Sure, you're going to do whatever you want. That's why you're here.
So you didn't, they also said that you saw
the Tony, Shane.
Regina,
those I'm saying are comics. These are our comics. During the week of in LA, you just saw people in the past. We were all at comedy clubs working on our.
Got you.
Everybody was going up testing their. Hey man, I want to see you. I'm going up. All right, I'm gonna come back. I'll be back in like 20. Let you go. I don't want to see you. We don't want to cheat. We don't want to go and have an advantage or be at a disadvantage. That, like, you're taking away the fun of the jokes. So, to my point that I'm making to you, no, I didn't see nobody's jokes.
That was sin.
Well, no, I don't see nobody's jokes beforehand.
I want to keep talking about the
Well, we'll keep talking about it.
It's a lot we got to get to.
We'll get to it. Tony, yeah, the George Floyd joke, it wasn't a tasteful joke to our culture, to our audience, but our audience that's watching the roast, if you're watching the roast, you get why they're doing it. You get why the racial humor is on the table. Like, it's not, I wasn't shocked. Like, that's what they do. Go look at the Tom Brady one. Like, that's what they do. It happens every year when they do a roast. It's not new. This isn't it's not a new agenda. It's not a new approach to comedy.
Do you feel like Tony Hinchcliffe went too far when he made that joke about George Floyd?
It's Tony Hinchcliffe. Yeah. Like, I don't expect less. I don't expect more.
I feel like you're saying going too far is the point. I don't know if words in your
Yes, I mean, that's why you're there. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to because we're being honest. People are talking about that joke. Talk about a set. Tony Hinchcliffe, the George Floyd joke, it wasn't a tasteful joke.
Social media sounds off as Tony Hinchcliffe jokes about George Floyd during Kevin Hart roast. The black community is so proud of you. Right now, George Floyd is looking up at us, all laughing so hard he can't breathe. But like I said, it's all this fake ass outrage, but ain't nobody gonna do what needs to be done. Ain't nobody gonna hit them where it really hurts at. So, all the little fake outrage and crying and all that shit, that shit don't mean nothing. Nofo. Nobody controls a controlled comedian. Father of three says Bernie Mac would have never let them control him, and I said what I said. See, that shit is just so weird. You a father of three and you're saying, and I said what I said. Man, I can't picture the words being said, and I said what I said, without simultaneously seeing the image of a woman saying it. I can't picture a man saying, and I said what I said. Like, man, where do they make these niggas at, man? This is exactly what I'm talking about. And this is somebody whose name is Father of Three. Bernie Mac would have never let them control him, and I said what I said. But see, this is the type of shit that a lot of niggas do, man. And he probably doing this in front of his baby mama. P.S. We not watching it this summer. Yes, you are. You're going to keep watching it because you can't help but to consume. Dex Pierce said, ain't nobody watching that shit, fam. Yes, you are. I don't even have Netflix no more. I canceled my Netflix subscription because I don't even fuck with it like that. So, I don't even see what's on Netflix myself. Emilio the Great says, no, this was not a George Floyd roast. And even if you didn't know the joke was coming, you laughed at it. and continue to justify the comedian's use of it. Take the L, Kevin. Yeah, man. See, these types of comment sections should be reserved just for females, man. '92 legend. Who is this? Looks like a guy. The country is ran by PDF files, and this is what y'all choose to be outraged and vocal about. Yeah, I got to get out of here, man. I can't even be in here too long, man. This shit just too unmanly for me. But just the fact that guys is, follow this shit is not cool. Happy 19th birthday to Zaya Wade. Boy, that shit crazy. Let me hurry up, get out of here, man. And once again, man, if you ain't wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain, please do so now. Hit that like button, man. And do this right quick before we carry on. eBooks, good looking with the $5 holla. Do you blame the conscious community for this? You got Umar, Boyce, and Polite saying every single mom is a queen. They are part of the problem, but they're not the entire problem. They fuel the problem, but that's not the entire problem. Because like I said, you're going to have people like this on the internet, but at the same time, the other side of that is the people who watch and support and listen to these people. And see, the deeper issue is the guys who are entertained by this type of stuff, by the Umars, the Boyce Watkins, and the Brother Polites and all that. The bigger issue is the guys who are entertained by that rhetoric. And again, there's so many guys entertained by that type of rhetoric because they've been programmed to seek their manhood from, these platforms instead of going through and developing their manhood through experience, going through it to get to it. That's the issue. I can't really look at them and say they the problem. Nah, because they're really no different than the guys that listen to them. They just so happen to be influential and have voices and platforms that reach far and wide. But they really no different. They need guidance they damn self, especially like a Boyce Watkins. Like he ain't nobody to be listening to, but guys are entertained by that type of shit because they're not in tune with their own manhood. So again, back to the apple tree, apple seed analogy. They're just apples. Boyce Watkins, Umar, Brother Polite, people like them, they're just apples. But the apple comes from an apple tree, which comes from an apple seed. So you got to get to the root of the issue. And the root of the issue is, guys being entertained by this type of shit. And why are they entertained by this? Why do they even have room? Why are they even inclined to listen to these guys when it comes to manhood? Now, Dr. Boyce, he's good for financial advice and things like that. He do some things that I like as far as like his literacy school for black kids. You know, stuff like that is good. But Boyce ain't nobody to be listening to about manhood and how to deal with a woman, because he's a doormat to the chick that he got on his knees and proposed to. He's a doormat to that lady. And so, you know, you can't sit up there and listen to somebody that's a doormat to a woman, and blatant doormat at that. You know, so that's the issue. It's like, why would somebody be inclined to listen to him about manhood after seeing the way that he's behaved and the way that he's displayed himself as a supposed to be man? Why would you entertain somebody like that when it comes to that? Same thing with Umar. You know, Umar is just such a mess of a guy. You know, he's articulate, he speaks well and what have you. And he's educated in some aspects, but he's another person that you don't listen to about manhood. And see, that's the thing. That's another thing that a lot of guys have bad too, right? Within them being so impressionable, you think that when somebody is good at one thing, they good at all things. Like Boyce Watkins, you think because he's good he's good talking about finance when it comes to things like that, that he's good at, like, because you can listen to him about finance, you can listen to him about everything. And no, that's not the case. You don't listen to Boyce Watkins about no manhood. Financial literacy, yeah, you might be able to listen to him about that, but manhood, no. Right? That's like me. I come from the game. Been in the game for a long time. Well experienced when it comes to the game. So when I talk about the game, I speak with conviction and I know what I'm talking about. And if you have any type of familiarity with the game, then you can identify with that and you can recognize that I know what I'm talking about, right? But I'm not just going to get on here and start talking about politics when that's not my lane. Or, you know, science, and that's not my lane. And I could go, you know, do a crash course on politics or a crash course on science. And because I know how to speak well, I can get on here and sound convincing to some people. But to a real man, they might not even be very familiar with science themselves, or politics themselves. But if a real man get on here and listen to me talk about that shit, they gonna know, like, this dude don't know what he talking about. He just went and did a crash course. They gonna be able to identify that shit. They gonna be able to see it. Just like me, when I see all these dudes on here talking about manhood and relationship advice and how to deal with women and all that type of shit. Because I'm the pimpin' and I come from this game and I've been dealing with women the way that I have for so long. When I see guys try to spit game on the internet, I can tell that they fraudulent from miles away, because this is who I really am. But, you know, like I said, unfortunately, it's a lot of grown males that are so impressionable that they just listen to any and everything. And they think that because somebody is good at talking about one thing, they good at talking about all things. And the guys that you mentioned in that comment, they have no business talking about none of that shit. And nobody has any business listening to them, for real. Eat Books, good looking with the $5 holla. Not justifying it, but men do got limits. What's worse, crying like Act / fresh and fit, or giving haircuts like Chris Brown when losing temper? Neither one of those. You saying a man got limits, but what you talking about limits as far as tolerance? Because that's what it sounds like. You talking about limits as far as, you know, a man can only take so much. You know what a man can do instead of taking so much? Walk away. Like Chris Brown, especially him being Chris Brown and not just any guy, but Chris Brown and you're involved with Rihanna. Those aren't regular people. They're very famous, high-profile celebrities. So when you're a high-profile, very famous celebrity like Chris Brown and your girlfriend is a very high-profile, famous celebrity named Rihanna, the best thing to do is just walk away. But at the same time, it's easier said than done because I wasn't in that situation. So, and I'm not Chris Brown, so I can't tell him how he was supposed to respond and all of that. But, another thing is, Chris Brown was very young when that took place, very young. And that's what people don't give him grace about. He was a very young man. And at the end of the day, yeah, he Chris Brown, famous performer, and singer, and celebrity, dancer, and all that shit. But at the end of the day, he's still a man. And men make mistakes. Especially young men, like how young he was at that time. But, like I said, people don't give him no grace when it comes to that. But me, I consider that. But as far as like academics and the fresh and fit, they just suckers. Especially when it comes to dealing with bitches, like they suckers. Now, academics don't try. I mean, maybe he has, I don't know. But academics is not known for giving game and telling guys how to get women and how to deal with women and how to be men and all that shit. Academics ain't known for that. But fresh and fit are known for that. They're known for, teaching guys how to approach women and be men and all. They known for that. But, they're not nearly the message that they bring. First of all, the message that they bring is flawed because it's coming from a flawed source. So, them telling anybody how to deal with women is fucked up from the gate. But on top of that, even the message that they're trying to bring, they're not that. They don't walk how they talk, fresh and fit. So they gonna get down in the mud and wrestle with bitches in the chaos all the time. Because even though academics ain't known for trying to advise people about that, academics is known for displaying himself as a sucker with all of his involvement with women. Anytime you see academics deal with a woman on the internet, he plays the fool every time. He shows himself to be a sucker for the bitch every time. Somebody tell me a time where academics presented himself as a man when dealing with a woman. I ain't seen it or heard of it or none of that. I done seen him be a sucker and a doormat to a bitch plenty of times though. So, far as limits, yeah, those guys, they appear to not have any limit when it comes to their tolerance for the chaos. Because they continuously engage in it. But far as limits, yeah, see, me putting myself in those situations, like I said, in the Chris Brown situation, you can't really, because we don't know, at least me, I've heard this and that and the third, but I haven't heard anything from Chris Brown himself as to why he did that. So I can't judge him on that. I can't say if he was wrong or right because I don't know why he did that. Because I know that there's certain things that a bitch could do that would make me probably go there and have a bitch looking like Rocky Dennis. You know what I mean? Now, I done, got physical before, but I ain't never had a bitch look the way he made her look. But just think about that. He's somebody that's not known for that before then or since then. Before that Rihanna situation and since that Rihanna situation, you've never heard about Chris Brown putting his hands on no woman. So, like I said, I don't know why he did that, but my guess, if I had to guess, My guess is that she did something that was just beyond. Because Chris Brown, especially back then, he a little older, rough around the edges now, but back then, that Chris Brown, he didn't strike me as no guy that's just, beating bitches up. I just can't picture that, the Doublemint commercial, run it, you know what I mean? Give me that. I can't picture that Chris Brown just beating bitches up. You know what I mean? The little cute kid. I'm talking about before all the tattoos and, the cigarettes and the weed and all. Before all of that shit, man. Before he got rough around the edges, when he was just a little, sweet, innocent little kid, man. I can't picture that Chris Brown just beating bitches up. So for him to go there, I would imagine that it's something extreme. See, everybody back at that time was just condemning him for doing it. But I don't know, maybe because I come from this game, even back then, I was looking at it like, what did the bitch do? Everybody was like, oh, man, because they plastered her face all over the news and shit like that. So, of course, everybody going to look at it like, oh, he's so wrong. But they don't know what he did. They don't know what she did. And that was my first question. When I seen her face all beat up like that, I was like, what did she do? Because I know bitches ain't shit. Everybody don't know that, but I know that. I know bitches ain't shit, so what did she do? You know what I mean? That was my question. Checkmate. Good looking with the star gift. You dig? Much appreciated. Reap Cash. Good looking with the $20 holla. Just got back from Miami. Seeing all that wealth changed my view. I was hit the blade campaigning. I guess you meant to say I hit the blade campaigning, but I felt like I'm doing them 304s a favor because I'm already breaking for bands. I do music and the game is telling me go that way. You say you feel like you're doing them a favor. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but I guess because you already got it going on, you saying is what it seems like you saying. You'll be doing them a favor because by them being involved with you, they coming into a good situation. I don't know, but whatever the case, if the game is telling you to do music and go that way, then just go that way. It sounds like that's what you want to do anyway. So if you want to do music, just do music. If that's working for you, just continue doing that. Eat Books. Good looking with the $2 holla. In the game, what's more effective, the mouth or the hands? Of course, the mouth, because the mouth is coming from the mind. And a lot of times when the hands come, the hands and the mind ain't moving in conjunction with each other. But the mouth and the mind, yeah, because especially if the mouth is kicking game, yeah, man, the mouth is going to be more effective every time. Now, sometimes it comes a time where, somebody might use their hands and things like that, but the hands are never going to be more effective than the mouth. Because, especially like when you're talking about effectiveness, right? Now, effectiveness, you can get somebody to be effective with the hands. You can get them to be productive as a result of using your hands, but it's going to be a fear motivation behind that. And as I've talked about before, you got fear motivation, you got incentive motivation. Incentive motivation is going to take you a lot further. And, when you're using your mouth, that's when you can, implement the incentive motivation and get somebody to do something because they're looking forward to the incentive of doing it. and they not doing it because they fear the consequence of not doing it, you know, and that's what the hands do. The hands can motivate somebody to do something because they fear the consequence of not doing it. They get these hands. Nah, the mouth is gonna work better and be more effective every time. E-Books, good looking with the $5 holler. How about for hubbies? My homie from Salvador, and he says unleashing the hands keeps a disciplined house. I say he's playing with fire because law is different. Yeah, I say playing with fire too, but then again, you never know though. You never know. Now, if he's dealing with a woman that comes from where he's from, or, you know, comes from a similar culture of where he's from, you know, that might work because, you know, women in Latin America are just different. So I don't know if his wife is also from Central America or Latin America somewhere. Maybe she is, and maybe, you know, that works. But he's still playing a dangerous game if he's doing that in the United States because, like you said, the laws is different. The laws is different. The culture is different. So, yeah, he playing a dangerous game out there, especially in today's times. Not only are the laws different and the culture different, but the times are different too. So, he's definitely playing a dangerous game because women, you know, feed guys to the wolves for less. You know, it's guys who never even put their hands on a bitch that's locked up right now because the bitch figured out some type of way to get their ass locked up. So, yeah, man. Definitely playing a dangerous game. Free ebook says Freeze, he's married to some indigenous girl from Central America, but says I'm the American capitalist. But I'm saying the American capitalist spirit spreads like fire as soon as she gets female neighbors filling the head. Yeah. But see, it all depends on how he is towards her as a man, because, you know, even if she might have like female friends and shit like that, if he remains the most powerful influence in her life, then he might be okay. Because just because she might have, you know, female friends that come from the United States and have that culture, and they might be filling her head with certain things, in spite of that, if he remains the strongest influence in her life, then he might be all right. And then another thing too, man, you know, you never know how he might have presented himself to her from the beginning. He might have laid it down from the gate and said, hey, look, this is how I get down. So if you want to fuck with me, you're going to have to accept this and that and all of that and everything that comes with it. And she might have been like, okay, because you got to keep that in mind too. Some bitches like guys, you know, using their hands. Some chicks are just turned on by guys, you know, getting physical with them, and therefore they do things and say things that are going to provoke a guy to get physical with them. So she might be one of them types. You just never know. You never know, man. Men Gardner on Wallace says Rihanna probably overstepped his boundaries when she approached that sensitive R&B singer named Chris Brown, though. Like I said, man, you just never know. You never know, man, why she did what she did. Wait, what y'all talking about? Okay, suppose the Prince say, I bust out laughing every time I hear him try to rap like a Blood or act like a Day One Pyru. Like, little nigga, stop, go write a song. Yeah. And then Ebook says, that's what I was saying the other day. Doesn't that reflect diluted identity when singers claim to set? Yeah, and then you got to keep in mind, too, like, you know, Chris Brown, he came into the music industry as a kid. So, you know, during that time, he's very impressionable. And then you got to keep in mind, too, like, as a kid, and he's coming from a different place, that plays a role in it, too. You know, he coming from Virginia, and he comes to L.A. as a teenager. You know, he going to be fascinated by all that shit that they was doing out there. So, you know, that's just like before he was claiming Pyru, he used to be in Long Beach. I got little homies that used to dance with Chris Brown and kick it with Chris Brown. And, you know, he used to be in Long Beach fucking with Crips. So, that just goes to show you that, you know, he was like impressionable and fascinated by, you know, just the LA culture, gangbanging being a part of that. So, you know, I don't know. I don't really count it against him. You know, he's young and impressionable, man. Like, it is what it is. Now, I look at dudes crazy when they be grown as a motherfucker joining gangs. Like Sepulveda the Prince. I know you seen that video from a few years ago when the dude went over to the Haciendas. He went to Hacienda Village and got put on, and he was like, I think 34 years old or some shit like that. Now that is crazy. That is crazy. This nigga 30-something years old, you joining the gang at the age that you supposed to be the big homie. Now, I look at that type of shit crazy, but, you know, somebody young like a Chris Brown, man, you know, I can't really be mad at him. Ebook says, well, according to Chatty Patty Whack, he's blessed in. Sepulveda the Prince say, blessed in. Laugh out loud. We don't get blessed in L.A., maybe Chicago or other places. And stop listening to Whack. He's not a factor in these L.A. streets. Yeah. You know, Whack say a lot of shit, man. It's just like, I don't even entertain that shit. Sepulveda the Prince say, at least Ray J grew up in the Centerview Pyru set. He do got homies that rep him. Yeah. You know, see, Ray J a little different because, like, Sepulveda the Prince, see, you know, like, and people from L.A., we just know. Like, if you from L.A. and you old enough to know, you know that, like, Ray J actually grew up in Centerview, which is the Pyru set that he claims. So when Ray J say he's a Blood or a Pyru, it don't really, like, for those of us that know, it's not really like a you don't look at him crazy because he really comes from over there. Like, he really was there as a child and grew up around those dudes. So for him to, you know, claim that, it ain't really like crazy. So Eat Books, good looking with the $5 holla. Didn't Birdman start repping Bloods at 30 when Mac 10 joined Cash Money? Yeah, I think Birdman was he was older than 30. He was in his 30s. But yeah, you know, Mac 10 turned all them dudes out, man. You know, and that's what it be, man. It's just something about the LA culture, man. It's just captivating to a lot of people, especially when you don't come from there and you see shit up close and personal for the first time. Dudes be fascinated by that shit. So, but yeah, Birdman was, you know, 30-something years old, just all of a sudden, you know, claiming Bloods. But hey, Mac 10 had all them dudes banging Blood. Shit crazy. Ebooks say, according to Trey D and other West Coast legends. Yeah. Ashley Banks say Birdman was Crips first. I don't know if he was necessarily claiming Crip before, but I do know that they used to wear all different kind of color rags, though. You know, Cash Money used to wear blue rags, red rags, green rags, purple rags. They used to wear all different kind of colors, man. So, but whether or not they was Crips first or Birdman was a Crip first, I don't know about all that. But what I do know is that when Mac 10 got over there, all of a sudden they was Bloods. Eris D say, not a mystery at all. Millions and millions, likely billions, ultimately poured into glorifying and advertising LA gang culture by the industry. Yeah. It has proven to be very profitable for a lot of people. That is a fact. When the Cash Money and Rockefeller tour was getting started, Cash Money was hanging out in the Jordan Downs before Mac 10 joined them. Sepulveda the Prince, you right about that, because I remember in Sepulveda the Prince, I'm sure you done seen that documentary before, but it was a documentary called Concrete Hell. I forget the brother's name, and I be mentioning it every so often. I always forget the brother's name who did the documentary, but I had met him in Vegas and he gave me the DVD back in like 2007. But it was a documentary called Concrete Hell, where the brother, he had went to different hoods throughout Compton and Watts and LA and shit like that. I remember he went to the Fruit Town, Pyrus. He went to the Nutty Blocks, and he went to the Nickerson Gardens, and he went to the Jordan Downs. And when he was interviewing them in the Jordan Downs, he had asked them about different celebrities who had came through there. And they was mentioning how Cash Money had came through there. And they were saying Juvenile was a real one. I think they said BG was a real one too. Like how when they came through the Jordan Downs, they wasn't on no scary shit. They was kicking it with them and it was all good. But yeah, you're right though. That was before Mac 10 had signed the Cash Money. That was like probably like 99 or some shit like that, when they came through there. So yeah, you're right about that. So I don't know, maybe they was claiming Crip after they went through the Jordan Downs. That part I don't know, but I do know they was kicking it over there though. Right, I heard about DMX going through the Jordan Downs, Cash Money. They named a few people. I can't remember who else. Ashley Banks says, yes, it's a video of the whole Cash Money with blue rags. I forgot the song. Even Manny Fresh was cripping. ebook say, no wonder Birdman didn't screw Mac 10 of his royalties like other artists. Yeah, I don't know. Like, hey, they gave Mac 10 a big chunk of money though. I think when Mac 10 signed with Cash Money, I think they gave him like $10 million. If I'm not mistaken, I think they gave Mac 10 like $10 million. Which at that time, he had like the biggest contract for artists at that time. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Cash Money gave Mac 10 like $10 million as a signing bonus when he signed with Cash Money. And then, you know, another Cash Money artist who come from the West Coast as well, who speaks good of Birdman and says that Birdman didn't do him dirty, is Glasses Malone. Glasses Malone also say that Birdman, you know, paid him how he was supposed to be paid and didn't try to play him out his money and all that type of shit. I don't know. Maybe he just got a different type of respect for West Coast artists or California artists or something. I don't know. Cash Money wore blue for Chopper City, then switched to Soldier Rags, then turned to Bloods. Turned to Bloods, yeah. Rep Your Set was dope. Yeah, I remember Rep Your Set too. That shit was cool. Juvie got people from the Jordan Downs. Oh, okay. That don't surprise me because that's what a lot of people don't know. Like LA, we got a lot of family that come from Louisiana, and especially Watts. Especially Watts. A lot of people from Watts, they family come from Louisiana. But even me, like my grandfather originally came from Lake Charles, Louisiana, and he I think he moved to LA as a teenager or something like that. But yeah, my father's side of the family was originally from Louisiana, but a lot of LA people got Louisiana roots for sure. So that don't surprise me that Juvenile got family from the Jordan Downs. Ashley Banks say Grape Street got a lot of reach. Yeah, they definitely do. Mac 10 ain't worth no 10 M's. Ashley Banks, you'd be surprised. I don't know about right now, but look that shit up. Back then, I mean, I don't know what he's worth now, but I'm sure I'm sure Mac 10 doing all right still. But back then, when he signed with Cash Money, they gave him $10 million. Matter of fact, let's go ask Handy Dandy Gemini. Hold on. How much money did Cash Money Records give to Mac 10 when he signed with them? The exact financial figures and signing advance that Cash Money Records gave West Coast veteran Mac 10 has never been publicly disclosed. They probably just don't have the real actual facts though. But while the contract details were kept private, a few key pieces of context outline how Cash Money structure worked during that era. The one album deal. Mac 10 signed a unique short-term contract with Cash Money for just one album, which resulted in his 2001 release Banger Ball featuring the Dr. Dre produced single Hating Your Eyes. The Universal credit structure. Under Cash Money's historic 1998 distribution deal with Universal Music Group, the label received a budget credit of $1 million per year allocated for each of their main artists to produce and promote their albums. An established veteran brought in to help expand the label's regional reach. Mac 10's budget would have pulled from those major label funds. See, they saying $1.5 million per year for each artist, but that's another thing too that we all know. Like Cash Money, when they signed with Universal gave Cash Money $30 million. So, I don't know if that 1.5 per artist adds up to 30 million. I don't know if that's the breakdown, but what is well known is that Universal gave Cash Money 30 million when they signed. The relationship. In retrospect interviews, Mack 10 has noted that his deal was structured cleanly and that he maintained a great close-knit relationship with Birdman, Slim, and Lil Wayne during his brief stint with the label, avoiding the financial disputes that later plagued other Cash Money artists. Yeah, Mack 10 didn't have no issues. But yeah, it don't say it right there, man. But that was the buzz going around back then, was that, you know, they signed him for 10 million. See, it'd be all kind of different shit. Nah, Universal didn't give Cash Money no 100 million. They didn't do that. You know what I mean? But, you know, the 30 million, that was the word going around back then. Motor Culture, that's exactly who it was. Kyle Shazloke Jackson. That's who made that documentary Concrete Hell. That's exactly who it is. Shazloke, yeah. But the full documentary ain't available, and don't make the mistake I made, because I caught myself going on I think it was Amazon or something. They got a download available to buy it, and you buy it and download it, and I bought the shit, but it ain't the full documentary though. I used to have the actual DVD back then. Ain't no telling where that shit is at now, but it was a cool ass documentary. I wish I still had it, or I wish it was somewhere available online. Cause like I said, they went to the Fruitown Pyrus, they went to the Nutty Blocks. I think they went to 151 Piru. They went to the Jordan Downs. They went to the Nickerson Gardens. Man, I can't remember where else they went. But it was a dope ass documentary though. It was cool as hell. Matter of fact, that was the first time I got hip to Killer Twine. Because when they went to the when they went to the Nickerson Gardens, Killer Twine was there, and he was freestyling, and he was spitting. Like, that's when I knew. I was like, man, this dude hard, whoever this dude is. But yeah. That's exactly the name, though. I suppose the Prince said, Mack 10 was like, hey, blood, on Queen Street, you gonna pay me mine. Oh, shit. But see, Mack 10 smart, and Mack 10 applied game. See, because Mack 10 didn't come over there as just like some hungry, thirsty artist just happy to get on. Mack 10 came over there like, nigga, I'm a superstar, West Side Connection, platinum plaques, all the shit. Bow Down, you know what I mean? Faux Life, Backyard Boogie. Like, nigga, I got a resume, so y'all should be glad that I'm even fucking with y'all. Even though I'm sure he wasn't talking to them like that, but I'm sure that was his attitude. He came over there like, nigga, I'm Michael Jordan. Y'all should be glad that I'm willing to sign with y'all. You know what I mean? So, and I think that, you know, because Mack 10 was already famous and from the West Coast and all that shit, they probably was already fans of Mack 10 before he even before they even was in conversations about him signing with them, because he was famous before they was. He was a superstar before they was, so they probably was like, shit, we get to sign Mack 10? Hell yeah. So they were impressionable, and he had the power of influence over them. So, you know, within them, you know, claiming Bloods as a result of being associated with him, yeah, I could see why, you know, Birdman didn't play with him the way he played with everybody else. Ebook say Freeze, according to Ice Cube, or according to Cube, he didn't have the most respectful demeanor. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's between them two guys. I don't really know. Okay. Birdman be adding shit. But then I don't know, like maybe later on they might have got 100 million, or over time they got 100 million, but up front though, from what I recall, they got 30 million. Mika Swain says it's 211 and Mac 10 from the same hood. And then Sepulveda the Prince says, I think 211 from Inglewood family. I could be wrong. No, Mac 10 is from Queen Street and 211 is from neighborhood Pyru. Now, Emeka Swain, how you might have thought that they was from the same hood is because they're from two different neighborhoods, but they neighborhoods is like super tight with each other. They right next to each other. It's like you could be in Queen Street and then you go across the street and you in neighborhood Pyru. But they super tight with each other, right? They kick it with each other. They fuck with each other, all the shit, right? They homies with each other. So I don't know what they dealings is with each other personally, but maybe you might have seen them fucking with each other, and that's probably why you might have assumed that they was from the same hood. But no, 211 is from neighborhood Pyru. Mac 10 is from Queen Street. So, you know, it's a lot of gangs in LA that's like that. That's like they so close they might as well be the same gang. And that's kind of how neighborhood Pyru and Queen Street is. They so tight with each other, they damn near might as well be the same gang. Eat Books, good looking with the $5 holla. As a matter of fact, with your P unique point of view, was Cube in the right to cut Mac 10 off, or did he owe Mac more loyalty over the woman as a man? See, I don't know the story behind why they fell off or anything like that. And I don't know the story about it being over a woman or anything like. See, I don't know anything about that. I just remember when I seen Mac 10 on Vlad TV, and this was before I stopped watching Vlad TV when he disrespected the minister. But when I watched Mac 10's interview on Vlad TV, he had just mentioned how him and Cube hadn't spoke at that time. I think he said it'd been like 20 years or something like that since him and Cube had spoke. And Mac 10, from what I recall, didn't get into details as to why they'd stopped speaking. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard Cube getting the details about it. I haven't heard Mac 10 getting the details about it, so I can't really say what their issue is or who was right or wrong. Ebooks say, if the whole reason on why Westside Connection fell off after Mac beat up Ice Cube's brother-in-law, who was a Crip, and then cussed out Cube wife. See, I never heard that story. I don't know nothing about that. Real Spill says they got 30 million, but 400 Degrees went 4 times platinum. That's 80 million plus 30. That's why they say 100 million. Yeah, I can see that. But you're right. You see, you remember the same thing. I remember Real Spill that they got 30 million up front though. That's what I was saying. Oh, okay. See, Sepulveda the Prince saying the same thing. Cube got into it with Mac 10 over Kim brother. Kim is Cube's wife. Yeah, I know his wife's name is Kim, but I see. I never heard that story about Mac 10 getting into it with his brother and all that type of shit. I don't know, or his brother-in-law, I should say. And y'all saying the same story pretty much. E-books and Sepulveda the Prince. So I don't know. Maybe that could be what happened. I don't know. I don't know where that story came from. I don't know if one of them put it out there, but you know, it's always easy to speculate to say who was right or wrong, but you know, I wasn't involved in the situation. I didn't witness it. I wasn't there. I haven't heard both sides of the story to come up with my side of the story. I don't know. So it's easy to say with limited details who was wrong or right, but with the very limited details that I got, I can't really say who was wrong or right. Cause I don't know why Mac 10 and Kim's brother got into it. I don't know who was at fault and who wasn't at fault, who was right or wrong. I don't know what Cube's response to that was. I don't know how far it went, how serious it was. You know, I don't know all of that. So Read Cash, I did read your super chat unless you gave another one. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, yeah, you gave another one. My bad. Read Cash, good looking with the $5 holler. I'm from New Orleans. The California boys brought Bloods and Crips to New Orleans. Mac 10 brought Bloods to Cash Money. They had already moved to Miami. Okay. See, I never knew, outside of Cash Money, I never knew New Orleans to have like Blood and Crips sets. I know other parts of Louisiana have Crips and Bloods, but I didn't know that New Orleans had actual sets. I just know that Cash Money was claiming Bloods. And then one time, it's a funny little story. Now, Sepulveda the Prince, you know, like I know, man, because the blue line go through your area just like it go through my area, right? But this is way back in the day, man. This is well over 20 years ago, probably down there 25 years ago, man. It's way back, though, in the early 2000s, right? But I remember I was on the train one time, and it was this little fat kid on there. I'm calling him a kid, but he probably was like maybe 18 or 19. He was young. But he was a little fat dude, right? Little fat dude with glasses. And he had a hat on. And if I'm not mistaken, I think his hat said Uptown or something like that on it, right? But he was standing like by the door on the train, and he was just like looking mean and shit, like he was like mean mugging and shit, right? And then somebody had said something to him. And he was like, nigga, this Uptown Bloods. Wooty wooty whoop. I'm from New Orleans. Woo 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 woo. Right? Now, still to this day, and I done spent time in New Orleans. I done been all around there, and I done rubbed elbows with all kind of people and shit like that. He is the only person that I have ever seen that said he was from Uptown Bloods and that there was even an existence of a set called Uptown Bloods. But the kids, you know, it was some kids on there from Watts, and they didn't even take him serious. They was kind of like laughing at him and shit, right? But he was serious, though. He was serious as a heart attack, but they kind of was just like laughing at him. He was like, nigga, this Uptown Bloods. Nigga, I'm from New Orleans. Woo, 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 woo. And he called himself like trying to stand his ground and shit. And you could tell this had to be like his first day in LA. Had to be. You could tell he was super fresh to LA because of the way he was acting. He probably heard all these stories. And see, that's what it be, man. People be hearing stories and shit like that. So they think when they come to LA, they got to have this like super tough exterior. They got to like put this front up and all that type of shit. That's probably what he was on. Like, They probably was like, nigga, you can't let them LA niggas punk you, man, when you go out there. So he was just sitting there mean mugging and shit. And see, you know, that's the thing with the blue line, man. If you any kind of gang affiliated, man, when you come on that blue line, man, you're gonna have some problems at some point in time. Maybe not every time you get on there, but at some point in time, especially when you cross that 103rd Street station or that Imperial station or that Compton station. Shit, so many stations, man. The Slauson station, the Firestone station, man, the motherfucking what is it, Washington station? Like every station passed through certain hoods, man, where niggas is gonna be tripping, man. So yeah, that blue line, man. I done seen all kind of shit on that damn blue line, man. But that was like a funny story though. Just speaking of Bloods from New Orleans. Like I said, dude said he was an Uptown Blood, but I never heard of that shit before him or after him. So I don't know if like maybe he was trying to start some Uptown Bloods or I don't know. Or maybe he did start some Uptown Bloods, but they never got real big or something. Or maybe he was just a part of it. I don't know. But that was funny though. Right, Real Spill say, you right, Freeze, because Mac 10 kept asking Vlad what you heard when asked about the issue with Cube. Yeah, I remember that, but like I said, man, I don't really know what the truth is. Laugh out loud, that blue line ain't no joke. Man. Like I said, especially if you're a gangbanger, because shit could, you know, I'm a non-affiliate, man, but shit could, I never had no issues on the blue line, but even if you a non-affiliate, shit could happen to you on that blue line, man. That because it go through so many hoods. You know what I mean? Like the blue line just go through so many motherfucking hoods, and like some of them stations be like right between, you know, like hoods that don't get along with each other. That blue line could get dangerous, man. That blue line could get dangerous for real. Reebcast say, not inner city, but on the outskirts of New Orleans, they mostly had / have Bloods and some Crips. Yeah, maybe on the outskirts, like you saying, I don't know, but like far as in them wards and shit, I ain't never. And even people like when I be in New Orleans and talk to people that's from New Orleans while we're in New Orleans, they've all said that, you know, we don't have no Crips and Bloods here, like no sets and shit like that. And like I said, I know other parts of Louisiana, like Shreveport, what's that shit? I think it's called Tallulah, Louisiana. Some other little parts of Louisiana, I know they got Crips and Bloods there, but yeah. Ace Capone said, Freeze, you're a real representative. Fuck all that other shit. They don't. They got awards. He's a cold fucking liar. Damn. Suppose the Prince say 103rd Street is the Kenneth Hahn station next to the Rosa Parks station, both in Watts, Dennis, Compton station. Right. And then going the other way, you got the Slauson station, the Firestone station. Ain't none of them stations cool to get off at neither, man. I remember Sepulveda the Prince. I used to go to the Mayor I Can shit right there on 103rd Street. So I used to get off at the 103rd Street Kenneth Hahn station. And I used to hate walking to that motherfucking American shit, man, because it always be some Grape Street niggas over there ready to bang on a nigga and shit, man. But I didn't have no issues, but I just used to hate going over there, especially being on foot, walking from the train station and shit like that. I'm fresh out of jail, going to the American program and shit. Yeah, but it was cool though. Real Spill said, damn, Freeze, he started the Uptown Bloods and ended it. He started Uptown Bloods that day, at that moment. He must have, man. But like I said, I remember he had a hat on. And I can't remember if the hat said Uptown or Uptown Blood. The hat had something to do with Uptown. I can't remember if it said Bloods on it or not. But it was like a hat. You could tell he probably went to the swap meet and had that motherfucker made. But it said something like that. I don't know if it just said only just Uptown or if it said Uptown Bloods or whatever it was, man. But like I said, the dudes did he call himself banging on when they said something to him. You know, they was some real Watts members. I can't remember if they was Crips or Bloods, but it was a bunch of like little young kids on the train, and they was kind of like, they just was laughing at him. They didn't even take him serious, you know what I mean? Because like, I guess because he wasn't from one of their enemy hoods or nothing like that. That's probably why they just laughed at him like, Uptown Bloods, okay. That's all they did was laugh at him, you know what I mean? If he would have said the wrong LA hood, then they probably would have, been a different story. But yeah, it was funny. E-Books, good looking with the $5 holla. Which side has members acting like a P more, red or blue? Which side gives students more trouble in the track? You can't really say that, man, because now, as far as LA goes, you got some real actual pimps that come from the Crip side and the Blood/Pyru side. Like real actual pimps that just so happened to come from them neighborhoods, and then they, got into the game and they went full-fledged pimping. And they real pimps that pimp by the book and keep it P and all of that. So I can't really say like, it's Bloods that's more pimpish or Crips that's more pimpish, because I know pimps from this come from both backgrounds. Now, at the same time, you have wannabes that ain't the pimping, that will bang on you, there's both Crips and Bloods, and they got some unpimpish individuals from both sides. So you can't really say like, far as Crips and Bloods, which ones is more pimpish or unpimpish and all of that shit. Like, that don't really determine anything when it comes to this game. So now, what I will say is that when it comes to the game, you have certain areas that just so happen to like be more conducive to the game, I guess you could say. Like Gardena. It's a lot of game that come from Gardena. And Gardena is a Crip city. None but Crips over there, but it's some real pimping that come out of Gardena. Some well-respected individuals in the game come from Gardena. Pomona is another place, where, you got some Crips and some Pyrus from Pomona that come into the game and are well-respected with the pimping. So, yeah, it's a few areas around LA where, certain individuals come from, and they, it's just like they got like their own little culture in their little community, their little area where, it's just kind of conducive with the game. So Eat Books, good looking with the $2 holla. Which gang overall, not just Cali, the USA? Again, I can't really say no particular gang that's like, more pimpish or less pimpish or anything like that. I don't even look at the, and then those of us in the game, we don't even look at it like that. Like, oh, that hood over there, they be producing pimps. Like, we don't look at it like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's either you pimping or you not, man. It don't really matter what background you come from. You got, like I said, you got pimps that used to be Crips, pimps that came from a blood background, and all different other kind of gang backgrounds. But if you pimping, you pimping. Right, Go Young DJ said Bud Long's known for pimping. Yes, it's some guys who done came from Bud Long. That's another area where didn't produce several guys in the game. Hawthorne not bad, got a little game in it. Yeah, Inglewood too. Inglewood done produced some game for sure. Where I'm from, Long Beach, you know what I mean? Long Beach done produced some pimping for sure, not just myself. Definitely some pimping come out of Long Beach. You dig. Right, like Sepulveda to say, ebooks P's come from both sides. Far as the game, as far as giving the most trouble to the students, goes both ways also. Yeah. Oh, Go Young DJ said that's my neighborhood. Yeah. Yeah, I'm already knowing there's some P's that come up out of there for sure. Ebook says freeze. I mean, which one do you hear the most? On Larry, on King David, on Pyru, when you give the phone call? Well, see, that depends on what region you in. Because if you in Chicago, I'm pretty sure you're going to encounter that. And then if you in LA, you're going to encounter that as well. But the pimping, if we know that you're a gangbanger, if we know that you like on King David, on Larry, on Pyru, nigga on Crip, if we know that you one of them type of dudes, we're not even giving you a phone call. The pimping is not going to call you about nothing. We just going to knock the bitch and get on, handle our business, pimp on, and we not even going to call you. Pimps serve pimps. Now, you got some guys that's going to serve everybody. It don't matter who it is or what their background is, you know what I mean? Some guys, the game is rated E for everyone, and they going to serve everyone. But then you got some pimps that don't serve gangbangers. Like if you don't have an understanding about this game, and when you have an issue with another pimp, you putting it on your set and all that type of shit, man, pimping ain't serving nobody like that. So, because pimping, the way pimping see it is like, I don't want to give you the honor and privilege to say that you got served by this pimp. Your gangbanging ass got served by a real pimp like myself. No, I'm not going to give you the pleasure of being able to say that with your gangbanging ass. No, you just going to get knocked and you ain't going to get the phone call. The bitch going to come up missing. You're going to have to put her on a cereal box or a milk carton or something like that because we gone. So, right, like Sepulveda the Prince say, we not calling you at all, man. We, them type of dudes ain't getting the phone call, man. Like Sepulveda the Prince say, I'm gonna just move the bitch to a whole new area. Yeah, we not because see, it don't even make no sense. Like somebody that is just a straight gangbanger, and they don't have no understanding about this game, and the only thing they understand is gang banging, it don't even make no sense. It's a waste of time to try to serve them because, you know, they don't understand the game. So the only thing they're gonna resort to is, you know, set tripping and like, nigga, where you at? Where the bitch at? When I see y'all, I'm gonna do whoop do whoop do whoop. And it's like it don't have nothing to do with fear. Like pimping ain't afraid of nothing like that. But it's like, you know, the whole point of serving a pimp is, you know, giving that pimp the courtesy of not having to wonder if the bitch is in jail or if a trick done did something to her. You know, put a pimp's mind at ease. Let them know, like, hey, man, you know, you ain't got to worry about this bitch, man. She over here with pimping, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And then, you know, you in the midst of that, you might make a new pimp friend. If y'all don't know each other, this might become your next pimp partner. Y'all met through the bitch, the way pimps are supposed to meet. And, you know, y'all might link up with each other. He give you the bitch clothes. Y'all have a drink over it and chop game about it and all that type of shit. 9 times out of 10, y'all got mutual pimp partners, and you become cool like that. That's the way it goes between pimps. But with a gang member, or not a gang member, a gang banger, it ain't, you know, it ain't gonna go like that. He don't want to hear none of that. He don't want to, you know, have a drink with you. And then not just that, but like speaking of meeting up and getting the bitches clothes, there's been situations in the game where the gangbanger will play it smooth and then pimping will go over there thinking he dealing with a gentleman to get the bitch's belongings and end up losing his life. So pimp ain't even gonna take that kind of risk, you know, because the gangbanger 9 times out of 10, you know, he's gonna be possessive over this bitch, not understanding that this is how the game go. So pimp ain't even gonna play with his life, the bitch life. You know, we're not even trying to deal with none of that. We just gonna get on and pimp on. So. Look up G Slim 4 Deuces and 4 Trey Crips in Harvey right outside New Orleans. Mary Poppins is an all blood set. Kenner had bloods too. Yeah, see, I never knew any of that. Oh, so they got 4 Deuces and 4 Treys out there. That, like, see, New Orleans having 4 Deuces and 4 Treys, that don't surprise me because Houston got 4 Deuces and 4 Treys. And, you know, Houston is just right down the highway from New Orleans. So, yeah, that part don't surprise me as far as, like, the outskirts, like you said, Harvey. Yeah, that don't surprise me at all. What do kind of surprise me a little bit is Kenner having bloods. I didn't know that. I didn't know Kenner had bloods, but I guess I shouldn't be too surprised by that either. Oh, I already shouted you out. I'm tripping. Read these comments. Ebook say freeze. Isn't that dangerous for a 304? She get knocked, and when the homies passes by, they get insulted, and Blade becomes a shooting range. Shit happened here in Milwaukee. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but sometimes shit like that do happen. But, you know, it's on the pimp and how he want to handle it. You know, sometimes pimping will knock a gangbanger and relocate to a different location. Or sometimes pimping will set the bitch right back down where he knocked her, but not serve nobody, and because it's a gangbanger she coming from, and then deal with the consequences however they come. You got some pimps that'll handle it like that. But yeah. Why would I help you kill me? Ace Capone said, right. You know what I mean? We not serving Pyru Johnny. You know what I mean? We not serving P Loke. You know what I mean? We ain't serving them guys, man. Ayers D say, exactly, serving is game etiquette. And banger ain't that. Right. Suppose the Prince say, I just wanted to say, check out my video called My First Time Getting Knocked and Served the Right Way. It's very informative. Yes, indeed, man. Go check that out. You dig? I already know it's a whole bunch of game involved in that. Faux show. Ayers D say that happened to Gangsta Brown. First P he knocked. Got kidnapped and pistol pulled. Yeah. Yeah, you know, and Pimpin' understands that, man, that you know, not everybody is gonna take the serving. Well, it take a pimp to take the serving like a gentleman. But if it's not a pimp and it's just some guy that ended up with a hoe, ain't even gotta be a gangbanger, because every gangster ain't a gangbanger. You got some niggas that ain't gangbangers, they just gangsters. And they might end up with a bitch. And pimping ain't serving gangbangers. We not serving gangsters. We serving pimps. So me and Gardner on Wallace say, I thought that a courtesy call was a mandatory part of the game. A cowardice gangbanger never gave me a courtesy call that one time I got knocked. Well, yeah, see, on the flip side of that token, you know, 9 times out of 10, a gangbanger ain't going to serve the pimping either. Because they don't have no understanding about the game. Only thing they understand is that this bitch want to fuck with them and give them some money. But, you know, they don't have the mindset of a pimp. So you can't expect pimp-like conduct from a motherfucker that ain't a pimp and don't think like a pimp. So ebook say, almost got shot that time while talking with this dark-skinned cutie, and she didn't date blacks. Yeah. I could imagine that, especially in Milwaukee. If you talking about that situation took place in Milwaukee, yeah, I can see that for sure. Ace Capone say, nigga in love with the bitch. Yeah, they be like that. Go Young DJ say, you ever seen a situation where the police respected the game? Yeah, I done told that story a million times where me and Sinful was in the Cosmos, suited and booted in Vegas, and me and Sinful standing side by side like this, maybe about, 4 feet apart from each other. We standing there chopping it up. And while we standing there, this little Mexican chick and this white dude with a bald head, they walked past us going towards the valet. And they was, walking and talking. But then a minute or two later, me and Sinful still standing there chopping it up. And the little Mexican chick, she power walking in our direction. Now, Sinful seen her coming towards us, so she walked between us. And when she walked between us, Sinful popped it at her real quick. He said something to her real quick. And I seen what was going on, but Sinful didn't see what was going on. What was going on was this chick was power walking away from the guy that she was just with because she realized he was Vice. I had picked up on that. I seen him trying to catch up to her, but Sinful didn't see him because he was a little distance away. But I just so happened to notice that he was trying to catch up to her. So I'm like, oh, she trying to get away. He Vice. So Sinful didn't see that. He just seen the bitch. So Sinful had shot his shot at the bitch when she shot past us. And then a few seconds later, this same white boy that she was walking with, trying to catch up to her now, he walked between us. And when he walked between us, without looking at Sinful, he leaned towards Sinful and said, "No sweat zone, buddy." I said, God damn. Hey, me and Sinful must have had a heart attack, boy. We was so spooked when he said that shit. That motherfucker walked past, he said, "No sweat zone, buddy," and kept walking. Didn't even look at Sinful. He just leaned towards him and said that and kept going. So me and Sinful looked at each other like, oh shit. And then I told him, I was like, damn, P, I tried to let you know, man, but you move too fast, man. You pimp too fast, man. So, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes later, we walking through the Cosmo and we're walking towards the Strip, which is the opposite direction of the valet. And as we walk in, there's a bar off to the side that's closed and it's dark over there. But that same white boy who told Sinful no sweat zone, buddy, he's standing over there by himself, right? Next to this bar that's closed in the dark. So as me and Sinful walking past, the white boy, he tells Sin, he say, hey man, come let me talk to you for a minute. So Sinful go over there, I keep walking, right? So I get a little distance ahead, like kind of out of their sight, and then I kind of wait up for Sinful. And he talked to the dude for a few minutes, and then he come back and catch up to me. I said, damn, P, what'd he say to you, man? What was that about? And so Sinful had told me, he was like, the officer told him, like, look, man, I know who you are. I know who your partner is. I see y'all all the time, but, I know you guys are different. You guys are gentlemen, man. You guys aren't like the rest of these guys around here, doing all kind of crazy, reckless stuff on the Strip to girls and things like that. He's like, I know you guys are different. So he was like, do me a favor. When you see me doing my job, don't get in my way. And when I see you doing your job, I won't get in your way. And then, that was the end of the conversation. So I was like, God damn. Nigga, a Las Vegas vice officer telling the pimp this? It's like that's like some type of shit that you would only believe in movies, but not in real life. That's why on the real, man, I really need to sit back and write a book just about me and Sinful's early days in the game. That's really what I need to do. I really need to just sit back and write a book about our early days in the game, man. And cause it was some moments, man, it was just classic. And that was one of them. But yeah, that was definitely a time where the police respected the game, for sure. That's one of the most vivid times that I know of where the police respected the game. So. Spo the Prince said, hell yeah, you should write that book. Yeah. On the real, what I need to do, yeah, I know what I need to do. Cause I got some ideas as far as how to get started writing the shit. I just need to put that shit in motion. Elisino say that's deep. Someone always watching. Yeah. Cause he was familiar with us. He, mind you, before he had chased the bitch down and caught up to her and all that shit, before she realized he was the vice, they was walking and talking, having a smooth encounter. You know what I mean? So, and they walked right past us. So I'm sure that while he walking past us talking to this bitch, he making a mental note of like, yeah, here go these pimps that I'm familiar with. Like he just probably seen us, was like, oh, that's them. You know what I mean? Because you see us all the time. And see, as I've said before, and I've made videos about the power of the suit. I need to make another more updated one because it's always good to brush up on this game every so often because some people haven't seen the old videos. But the power of the suit is a motherfucker, man. And, I remember back in those days when me and Sinful used to always be suited and booted, different pimps used to tell us like, oh, man, y'all gonna catch a case coming out here dressed like that, man. Y'all loud with it and whoop, right? And these would be the same individuals that got on T-shirts and jeans and tennis shoes and shit like that. And they used to always tell us that we was too loud wearing these suits. But they not understanding that, because when you wear, it's one thing to look like a gentleman. It's another thing to conduct yourself like a gentleman. we not only looked like gentlemen by wearing these suits, but we conducted ourselves as such as well. Our conduct was in tune with how we looked. We looked how we behaved. So, and that was just one officer that we had a chance encounter with that shared his thoughts with Sinful. But there's no telling how many other officers might have felt the same way and kept it to themselves like, yeah, they different. Now, of course, every officer ain't going to be like that because you got motherfuckers like Green Eyes and Pork Chop and Sarge and, all them different ones. They didn't respect the pimping at all. They hated us with a passion, man. But I'm sure you had them different ones at the same time. It was like, you know what? They not really a problem like that. I'm not going to do my job with them unless they make me do my job. I ain't trying to hunt them. They different. They some gentlemen. And then not just that, but this is something, see, as I'm just talking, certain things is coming to mind, right? And I've been through that CCDC jail, or not really. I ain't never made it to a cell in CCDC, but I have been through booking in CCDC a few times. Several times I've been through the booking of CCDC jail, which is the Clark County Detention Center, the county jail in Vegas, right? And within me going through that process a few times, I just seen the way that the ladies in there is comfortable with the vice. Because they all know the vice. They done been arrested by vice several times, so they know who all the vice officers is. And when they be sitting in the booking, they be talking with the vice like they homies and shit like that. They be talking to the vice about if they still with the same folks and how's the relationship with they folks going and they how did they night go and they been making good, they just be chopping it up with the vice like they friends and shit. So within all of that, I wouldn't be surprised if bitches is sitting in the book and talking about Sinful and Freeze, probably in a good way. Like, girl, I'm thinking about choosing up with him, or girl, he fly. Every time I see him, he be looking good. Or girl, he popped it at me at the bar. He just said something real quick and then just kept going, and he didn't even sweat me real hard. Just, you never know what kind of conversations that the police is ear hustling on that these bitches is just comfortably having in the motherfucking jail. So that might have played a part in, why that officer and maybe other officers probably respected guys like us that was suited and booted and conducted themselves like gentlemen. And then not just that, but you never know what they might have witnessed firsthand themselves. Because like dude said, y'all are gentlemen, y'all don't be doing all the wild shit like these other guys be doing. He just seen a different caliber and we didn't know who he was. So it's probably times where, him as an undercover officer, he probably just sitting there watching us pimp and we don't even have a clue. But because of the way that we conducted ourselves, he just gained like at least a little bit of respect for us. And, it's one thing to conduct yourself like a gentleman regardless, but when you wear a suit on top of that, it's like a different level of professionalism that comes with that, and a different level of respect is garnered as a result of that. So, yeah. Right, respect goes a long way. The conduct determines the product. Yes, indeed. Vice was buying box heavy in 07 on the strip. Famo, I could believe it, man. What? Not just I could believe it. I know it because I know. Yeah, without getting into details, I know some situations where them Vice was doing their thing, and not only was they buying box heavy in 07, but You know, some of them vice officers had 304s for girlfriends too. Like really relationships, like this bitch got a straight square relationship with this vice officer. It was a lot of that shit going on too. So right. Me and Gardner on Wallace say the demonic spirit of comfortability with the vice. Definitely that. Femo say, yep, I remember that. Yeah, you already know. For sure. That's powerful. Character is most important. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Chaz Focus say, salute, Freeze. Appreciate you always dropping this uncommon information. For sure, man. Appreciate you as well for tuning in and tapping in. You dig? Me and Gardner on Water says, order some circulars from the Library of Congress to copyright that book, Freeze. Yeah, I need to put that motherfucker together for sure. Write the script. People need this in 4K. Yeah, I'm talking about a book, but man, like, and it's funny because, you know, Sinful used to always say that, like, we'll be watching Power and shit like that. And, you know, Power is a cold series. But Sinful used to always say, man, like, P, man, if we just sat back and wrote a series, man, we'd come up with some shit way colder than Power. If we come up with some shit about this game, we'll have some shit way colder than Power. And that's the truth on the real. Like, now I'd have to do it myself without him, but, you know, not, you know, without him in the physical form, but still him in the spiritual form, because we got so many experiences together. Like, I could sit back and come with some cold shit. Like, if I just wrote a series about Sinful and myself and all the shit that we done been through, man, seasons. Season 1, season 2, yeah, man, shit. That shit'll be cold. But shit, man, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this thing on up. We've been live 3.5 hours. I'll be feeling like my bro, man. This ain't gonna take long. This shouldn't take long, man. But shit, even though I don't be saying it like he be saying it, but I be feeling that way when I first start the live. I be telling myself, like, okay, we just gonna do an hour, man. But an hour pass by and still be so much shit to talk about. Then next thing you know, 3, 4, 5 hours. The other day we was live 5 hours, man. But yeah, we gonna go ahead and wrap this thing on up. Yes, indeed. As always, I appreciate y'all for tuning in and tapping in with a pimp. I appreciate all the shares. I appreciate all the comments, questions, input, jokes, feedback, all that good stuff. I appreciate you for subscribing. I appreciate you for hitting the bell when you subscribe. I appreciate all the super chats, cash apps, PayPals, gifts, all that good stuff. I appreciate you for your support in every which way that you comes with it, man. Y'all already know who it is and what it is. Freezes it. If you out in traffic moving around, please do so in a safe fashion. And of course, as always, long live the incomparable Sinful to P. We out.